Howdy, everybody. Seems like a weird angle. I have a bunch of books that I'm going to stack my laptop on. So hopefully that will improve so I don't look like this the whole time. Everybody hear me? The three of you here so far. So we'll wait for a few more people to trickle in. I worked all day today, which you can tell because I look extremely exhausted. Howdy, everybody. I'll let some more people kind of pour in. Before I start asking questions, what was the most painful insect sting you've ever taken? You've asked me a few times, so I'll answer now. Vespa tropica, obviously, the giant hornet. Still so far, that one, that was the most painful insect sting. Now, I've had plenty of stings that were worse than that, but from non-insects. Let's see here. Man, you guys are starting to flood in. That's good. How many spiders have I encountered? There's no way I could answer that. Millions and millions of spiders I have encountered. I've filmed with a good handful. I've caught quite a few. But in terms of just encountering them in the wild, I have seen hundreds of thousands of spiders. Even in just the course of Jack's World of Wildlife, not even counting my life of running around in the creeks and stuff growing up. But yeah, I've seen a lot of spiders. I've encountered quite a few. What were you doing today that's got you so exhausted? Well, you can tell I'm a little tired. Some of you might not know, but Jack's World of Wildlife, I created this business. It's an LLC in Texas, and I actually do stuff other than make videos. So the other half of my business is I breed poison dart frogs as well as their primary food item, fruit flies, and then I sell those. And then on top of that, I also create custom enclosures for those animals, and then I service them. I go and take care of them once a week. So that's what I was doing today. I was making more fruit fly cultures. I was taking care of my poison dart frogs. I was going around doing service, taking care of my clients and stuff like that. So that's what I was doing today. So I had to get up early because I had a lot to do. I had a lot of stuff to drop off and take care of. So I'm a little tired because I've also been working on YouTube and stuff. So I work quite a lot during the week and weekend because today's Saturday and I worked all day today. But thank you for your concern. So I'm going to answer probably another like 20 questions, and then we'll have a little bit of we'll shift gears a little bit. I'll direct you guys on what we're going to be doing, but let's take a look here. Let's check out the next few questions. Hi, Jack. Do you prefer Atta texana or Atta mexicana? Both amazing species, but of course, I am partial to Texana. I've kept Texana. I've not kept Mexicana. I've actually never encountered Mexicana. So they're really beautiful species, leafcutter ants, for those who may not recognize those binomials. But I would love to find Atta mexicana, but I still think that Texana takes the cake. I just love running into them in the habitat that they're in. You kind of have to go to a really particular spot in the U.S. to even see Mexicana or have the chance of seeing them. Hello, Jack. Welcome. Thanks for answering that. What would you say was the worst bite I've ever taken? Black Widow, for sure. Has anybody ever told you look like Kurt Cobain? I think I have gotten that one before. I get a lot of really weird ones. Like, if you guys like ever see like on every single video, I have like at least one person saying, "You look like so and so," or "I didn't realize so and so was an animal guy," or whatever, like as a joke. And it's like it'll be a random new person every time. Like today, somebody commented I looked like some like Dutch DJ guy. Can't even remember his name. And I was like, what is this? Who's this guy? So I looked him up and he's like a DJ, a Dutch DJ. And I'm like, I guess I kind of look like him. I mean, I've got pretty, European features. I'm fairly German. So I guess, we're in that same kind of genetic region that I've got, kind of cheekbones and eyes that look similar to other people who live over there. But I get a lot of that. I get a lot of people telling me I look like such and so. How can you make the golden arrow frog remain toxic in captivity? Well, it's very difficult, if not impossible, thing to do. You would essentially have to recreate its entire slice of forest, which we really can't even begin to know quite exactly what that would look like. I mean, you would have to have hundreds of different species of little mites and insects. You'd have to have the exact species of plants that they're sequestering toxins from. It would be extremely difficult. Now, if you could theoretically, take a big old chunk out of the rainforest, a whole room sized enclosure that has everything in there that you would need, theoretically, they could stay toxic. Is there an animal or insect you don't like? Great question. I am fascinated by almost every animal on the planet. Do I like them all? Not necessarily. One in particular that disturbs me quite a lot is the hagfish or slime eel. Something about the way that they're shaped and the way that they move, really, I don't like. I think I don't like them. Am I fascinated by their ecology? Yes, of course. They're very interesting. They're like deep sea, primarily deep sea scavenging animals, but they just look so gross. I'm also, I people always are like so surprised. I'm not a dog person. I have a cat. I really like cats. I do not really like dogs at all. So I guess those would be my two on the list that I can think of is dogs and hagfish, slime eels. Everything else I'm usually pretty okay with. I mean, you know, not too bad. Hey Jack, hope you're doing well. Thank you very much. How much worse? Oops, I just scrolled down. Oh my gosh, how much worse was Vespa Tropica than the bullet ant? Probably about twice as extreme, if I had to quantify it. The funnel web is my favorite. They're a great spider. How did I start? Well, it's kind of a long story. I mean, obviously, I grew up, watching Steve Irwin and Jeff Corwin and Animal Planet and all that stuff. Obviously, I grew up being really interested in animals and really inquisitive about the natural world. And so it's kind of like, a thousand dominoes that had to fall for me to kind of get to where I am today. So as a kid, I was all really already interested in like lizards and frogs and bugs, and I was always wanting to like show people or teach people about this stuff. In fourth grade, I had this giant emperor scorpion that I would take with me everywhere. It was super calm, and people would be like, "Oh my gosh, you have a giant scorpion!" I'd be like, "No, it's sweet, it's all right." And so that coupled with as I got older, I was like, "Man, it would be so cool if I had my own show. It would just be so awesome." And I could teach people about all this stuff that I really like, show them that this stuff isn't so bad. But I was like, I can't do that. Like, I don't have a crew. I don't have enough funding because I was already doing trips and stuff. In 2017, before I even started my channel, I was in Costa Rica catching all sorts of bugs and reptiles and stuff. And that's just what I would do for fun. And I was just like, I so wish should have started my channel then. But again, I was thinking, you need like a whole team to do that kind of stuff. I don't even know how to edit a video. I had no idea. I'd never, I wasn't like a kid that like edited, Minecraft gaming videos for YouTube. Like I never did that kind of thing. So I just had no frame of reference. And it wasn't really until a gentleman by the name of Coyote Peterson started uploading videos about my favorite animals and making people really afraid of them. And I thought, what the heck? This isn't doing anything for people. I mean, this is just making people more afraid of bugs and more afraid of spiders and stuff. So that kind of like made me be like, I don't care if I don't have $100,000 and a whole crew and a whole team and people to help me. I just need to start doing whatever I need to start doing now to try and combat misinformation or things that, I felt were going to negatively impact insects and reptiles, which are already creepy crawlies, already stuff that people don't like. And so that's kind of how Jack's World of Wildlife was kind of kicked into action because I think it was always something I was going to do. But in terms of like the timeline of from when I started to now, a lot of it was encouraged by, just feeling like there was a lack of a positive voice in this realm. And of course, since then, I've run into plenty of people who are who are doing a great job at this kind of stuff. I got plenty of other YouTuber friends that are kind of in this same vein of like speaking up for these misunderstood animals, which is great. And so I'm really glad now to see a lot more of those types of people because at the time, I didn't see. I mean, we didn't have Jeff Corwin on TV really much anymore. We didn't have Steve Irwin anymore, and Animal Planet was all just pit bulls and parolees and the puppy bowl, and so we weren't really seeing kind of that same level of education, at least for kind of scarier animals that I felt was appropriate or beneficial for those creatures. That's a great question. I'm rattling on for a long time. It's going to be like a 2 hour long live stream to get through all of these, all this stuff. Thank you so much. I'm trying to see Matthew, thank you so much. Sorry, there's so many questions now that I'm having to scroll through. I'm going to answer Matthew real quick. He gets priority here. Matthew asks, love the channel and want to see you succeed and thrive. PS, got any pet bugs? I actually have a lot of pet bugs right now. If you guys watched my bullet ant vivarium, I still have that. It's in my room on my dresser. It's a live planted bioactive tank with my Neoponera villosa, hairy panther ant or Texas bullet ant colony. I also have a little Camponotus carpenter ant queen. She probably almost has workers now. I just have her in this tiny little pill bottle nest that I made. She's just on my counter right there. And then I also have a ton of beetle larvae that are growing. I've got Hercules beetles and elephant beetles that I've been raising for a long time, and I've got those as well. But those are my insect pets. Those are my pet bugs there. All right, let's get back up. Golly, you guys are asking questions out the wazoo. Let's see if I don't Jack. You're a bog person. Thank you for all the educational and funny videos. You're so welcome. Would you be interested in designing some tarantula enclosures for me? Yeah, I do tank design. That's part of my other business with my other half of Jack's World of Wildlife is I make enclosures for stuff. I've got plenty of experience designing enclosures for pretty much any animal you could think of that's commonly kept as a pet. I'd rather Texana too, since I've kept them. Smart man. How many times have I died before? 0 so far. What would you rank Pagano Myrmex barbatus out of other stings that I've taken? They're pretty good. That's the red harvester ant. For anyone who's curious, they have really toxic venom, and it's pretty solid. I would say, they're on track with at least 50% of the stuff that I've taken stings from and filmed for the channel. They're pretty good. You Look Like Daredevil, Charlie Cox. I've gotten that one before too. I love that show. It's so good. I was like in the theaters at No Way Home. I was one of like the 2 people that was like, oh, woo, Daredevil. I love that show. It's so good. In your opinion, what's the prettiest bug? Oh man, that's a great question. I'm gonna say bug is in like the entirety of like the colloquial term, just insect, which is what I assume you're meaning. Geez, that's a hard one. What is the prettiest bug? I don't know. That's really good. Right now, I think because I was just looking at stuff, I'm gonna say like probably like the green or rainbow stag beetle. I really love the iridescence on those. I was just looking at INAT in Australia because I'm trying to get there, which would be really, really nice. But those are really beautiful. They're like beautiful, shiny, iridescent. I would say those rainbow stag beetles and stuff are really cool. Hope you're doing well. Thank you so much. I'm doing all right. Funnel Web's awesome. They sure are. Is this really Jack, or did you die and have the government replace you with a robot like Zac Efron? I am truly me. There are no robotics going on. Very handsome Jack. Thank you. I try. How many times have you come to Oklahoma? And if any, what for? And how was the experience? We actually have filmed quite a bit in Oklahoma, Southern Oklahoma, Eastern Oklahoma, quite a lot. I've been up at least 20 times filming. Always a great experience. We usually get what we're after, or we get something really, really cool. But yeah, it's a great state, and I'm in North Texas, so it's closer to me than half of Texas is. So I always I like to take advantage of that. Although I'm trying to branch out and do some other stuff this year because last year we went to Oklahoma like half of all of our filming days. We went to Oklahoma. Let's see. Flex Your Freedoms gifted one Jack's World of Wildlife membership. All right, I appreciate that. That's great. I appreciate you, man. Let me see. Matthew, thank you so much. Another super chat. Favorite species of spider, favorite insect species overall. Great questions. I honestly think my favorite species of spider, as cliched as it might seem, is Atrax robustus, the Sydney funnel web. They're just such a robust and amazing looking spider. I was actually able to see them in the wild back in 2018, and I hope to see them in the wild again. They are just, I mean, an intimidating spider. I think that there's very few spiders I get that excited about finding. This most recent wandering spider that we found, as that's close second. I just love those big, charismatic, venomous spiders. Those are just my favorite insect species overall. That's an extremely difficult question. I'm gonna give you this. My top favorite groups of insects usually are beetles, uh, ants, and I'll say wasps/hornets. And even though ants, bees, and wasps are in that same order, I'm going to give you one of each. That's the premium for the $4.99 super chat. My favorite beetle is probably Ceragnathus dorcas titanus, which is like the heaviest stag beetle on Earth. They're a gigantic stag beetle. I actually filmed a video on them back in 2021, I think. Giant stag beetle. It freaking pinched the fire out of me. They are just huge, bulky, big black beetles. They got these massive mandibles. I mean, you couldn't imagine a more beautiful beetle. My favorite ant has got to be the bullet ants, Paraponera clavata. There's just nothing like it. They're so amazing. They're such beautiful ants. I love them. Close second would be like Myrmecia, like the bull ants. Those are really cool. And then my favorite wasp/hornet, Japanese giant hornet, baby. They're huge. They're awesome. They're beautiful. I would love to see them in the wild. I hope I get to see them in the wild sometime soon. Great question, and I appreciate your support there. We got another donation. Thanks so much. Do a female cicada killer sting. I would love to try it. I haven't actually seen any cicada killers this summer, but I haven't been able to get out much because we just got back from Ecuador, so I've been already traveling quite a bit. Let me scroll back up here for a second. I just really wanted to prioritize the super chat people. I appreciate you guys so much. Let me get back up to where I was and answer some of these questions up here. Will you consider the Great Black Wasp sting? It's supposed to be terrible, but no official ranking. Yep, of course. I'd consider it. My issue right now is that YouTube has been flagging bites and sting videos. So I'm just not sure how to approach doing more. Obviously, the more flags I get, the less my channel is able to reach people, the more restrictions they're going to put on me. And obviously that's kind of not in the best interest of teaching people and educating people if YouTube just kills all my videos. So we may have to figure some stuff out with that. But wasps, I would try any wasp on the planet. There's no wasp that I'd be like, ooh. I mean, I took the Black Widow for goodness sakes. So wasps are nothing to me. Jack, you should do a video on your pet animals. I've done some frog room tours and stuff before. I've filmed a widow unboxing. I filmed my ant vivarium. I filmed some stuff before. Usually people don't enjoy it quite as much, but it's not something I'm gonna write off the table. Would you take a bite from a funnel web? No. Jack, what's up, man? Nothing much, Matthew. I appreciate your support. Which insect bite scared me the most? I was pretty nervous for wheel bug, I think, because I had never done an assassin bug before, so I just didn't know what to expect. I was a little nervous. That was probably the one that scared me the most. Do the chickens have large talons? I don't understand a word you just said. Yes, they do. Hey, Jack, I made it to one of your lives. Great to have you. What hurt more, Polistes annularis or bullet ant? They hurt about the same, but bullet ant will last longer. We got a fellow cat person. That's right. Centipedes, I like them. Thoughts on box jellyfish? Really cool, interesting organisms. What about Bubba? Bubba, Bubba is my family's dog. He's a Shiba Inu. He's pretty funny. I'm fine with him. I like him. I just, as in general, dogs aren't my favorite. Is there a creature on Earth you wouldn't even consider going around? I don't think so. I mean, it really depends on what you mean. There's a difference between like going on a safari and seeing, hippos grazing, on the side of a river at night, or, swimming in like the Nile River with crocodiles and hippopotamuses. So, like, if I was going to die, obviously I wouldn't want to like run up on a big old jaguar or something. But there's not really something that I would be like, oh man, there's jaguars in that jungle. Oh, I can't go in there. I've been in jaguar jungles before, so I would say probably not. I would probably go around almost any kind of animal, but again, it would depend on the context, so to speak. Will you come to New Zealand to study our own Latrodectus, the endangered Katipo? I would love to film that. They're big, beautiful widow spiders. I love them. I would love to be able to see that animal in the wild. That would be so cool. It was definitely worse than a tarantula hawk. I agree, honey daddy. What's your cat's name? Her name is Lilo Tukture Amidala. And then my last name, which I don't usually publicly disclose. But that is her name. Lilo, as in Lilo and Stitch. Tukture, as in Jake and Neytiri, Sully's youngest daughter from Avatar: The Way of Water. And Amidala, as in the Queen Amidala, Padme Amidala from the Star Wars prequels. We like an elaborate name. Usually she just goes by Baby Lilo. That's what we usually call her. And she's sleeping in the closet. She may come out at some point today. Are velvet ants found in Canada? I believe that there's smaller species of mutilids that are up there. Yeah. Let's see. Let's scroll down. We got another super chat. Let's see. Oh. If you come to NZ, you could do a documentary about the giant weta and the Katipo. I would love to do that. That would be so stinking cool. Not to mention, New Zealand's got a whole host of amazing endemic wildlife. And that would be really, really spectacular. Some amazing birds, all sorts of amazing stuff. I would love to be able to get down there at some point. That's a great suggestion and something I'm going to keep in my back pocket. That's for sure. Let's see. Oh man, you guys are asking questions so fast. You guys are asking questions. Okay. I finally found my favorite bug I've ever seen was candy stripe leafhopper. It jumped on me in the field in Indiana. Sorry. Yeah, that's really cool. I love your channel. It is so wholesome and educational. I appreciate that. I try my best to maintain that. And without rolling around screaming in pain, my channel is fire. I thank you. I try not to roll around and scream in pain. I don't feel that it adds to the video at all. Which insect bite / sting scared me the most? I think insect, like arachnids and chilopods aside. So that's not counting centipede or tarantula or widows or anything. I think the insect bite that scared me the most was wheelbug. Maybe I was really pretty nervous for that, and that was really impressive. You're a legend. I appreciate that. Let's see. Man, Flex Your Freedoms is gifting memberships out the wazoo. I appreciate you, brother. I really do. Seriously, you guys. I mean, it has been freaking pulling teeth with YouTube about my videos and impressions. Like I feel, there's a lot of days where I'm really discouraged because last year we were doing really, really well and things were looking great and we were paying for all travel with the channel and stuff. And now I don't want to hit a wall. I don't want to stop production. I don't want to, cancel traveling to go get videos just because YouTube is deciding not to suggest my stuff. So every support, every membership, every super chat, I mean, seriously, it helps so much because it helps us keep above that red line, which is crucial if we're going to keep getting out. I mean, it's not exactly cheap to fly all the way around the world filming some of the coolest animals on earth. It takes a pretty penny sometimes. Uh, Especially with some of these plans I'm hoping to be able to do coming up soon. There's some stuff that I need support for. Ever thought about going to Asia and doing herping as well as looking in streams for freshwater shrimp? I have and I have. We There's plenty of really cool like freshwater prawns and stuff and crabs that we've run into while herping. I've actually never done a video on them, but yeah, I'd love to go to Asia and go looking for all sorts of stuff. Anything I can find, I'm happy to be. Can you be stung by a scorpion beetle? It is the only venomous beetle. That'd be really cool. I'd be down to do that. Let's say you're going to do a stingray video. I won't take a sting, but I would love to film stingrays. We filmed some actually in Galapagos. I don't know that they'll make their own video just yet, but I do have footage of stingrays that I've gotten. Drop a like, people. I appreciate that. Let's see. You have a lot of potential, man. You're braver than most people doing this stuff. I appreciate that. Hey Jack, I really liked your Black Widow spider video. Balls of steel to do that. Your video styling kind of reminds me of Dave Kaufman's videos. Keep it up. You're gonna blow up. I look forward to seeing more. I appreciate that. Dave Kaufman, he's a successful guy. He's doing well on YouTube, and we have a lot of mutual friends. I've never actually met him in person, but I've seen him put out some really cool stuff. Jack is greater than Coyote. I appreciate that. Flex Your Freedoms has gifted some memberships, so we have some people that are pretty excited to be channel members. Yeah, so I'm gonna start making more membership exclusive videos, but we already have 2 that are out, and then there's of course tons of behind the scenes posts that you have access to when you're a member. So all you new members get to check that out, and if you really like it, it is a monthly subscription, so you can always tune into that and keep those perks. You and Coyote should get stung at the same time and prove he's a baby. I feel that I've kind of done that because I've just gone through and tested a lot of the stuff that he's done. And, obviously if you played our reaction side by side, it'd be embarrassing. Jack, next trip to South America, you should try and find Scolopendra gigantea. The largest centipede, Venezuela for the true black bat-eating gigantea, or Peru for the white legs. Both can reach 15 inches. That would be so cool. We looked for Galapagoensis, both in Galapagos and on mainland Ecuador, and we got skunked on both. So I would love to find a gigantic centipede. I'd be really, really stoked to see that. Any possible trips to New Zealand in the future? I would love to. I really, really would. As far as it goes, currently nothing is planned, but I do try and get to Oceania as much as possible. And who knows, maybe in the future it'll be easier for me to make trips to New Zealand and Tasmania and Papua New Guinea and stuff like that. Maybe hopefully, channel willing, we'd be a little closer to that side of the planet. So we'll see. Let's see. I found a Black Widow and a pack of grapes last year and found this channel after that. Well, surprises come in all shapes and sizes. So that's interesting. Are you a vegetarian? Most reptile bug people I know are almost always. I'm not a vegetarian. I do eat meat. I don't really eat beef at all. Every once in a while, I'll have something. I don't refuse food if it's prepared for me either. But generally, chicken is pretty much the staple. But I try and eat pretty healthy, and I try to limit red meat, and I really don't eat beef pretty much at all. But great question. I am not a vegetarian. Sorry to disappoint. Let's see. Jack, you should keep Pagano badius or Myrmecocystus mexicanus. Both beautiful ant species. I've actually kept mexicanus. I've never kept Badius because they're hard to get in Texas. If I lived in Texas, I might have ordered a jumping spider enclosure from you. Well, yeah. I was gonna make a video, actually, a how-to on how to make a jumping spider like enclosure, but I just never ended up making it. Let's see. What's your scariest creature? I got pretty scared by an elephant. I was almost killed by an elephant in Thailand in 2019. That was probably my scariest animal encounter. So I'm going to say a wild Asian elephant. That's what I'm going to say. Good seeing you, friend. It's your old pal Adam. Welcome. Let's see. All right. I'm sorry, Chicken Nugget Man. You are in timeout. Timeout. I'm sorry, dude. You can't comment 1,000 things. It's muddying up this stuff, and none of them are relevant to what we're doing. Naughty, naughty. Let's see. Which bite or sting scared me the most? I've answered this already. Well, I guess bite. I think I was most nervous for the most recent tarantula bite because it was so big. I thought it was really going to hurt, and it was fine. Let's see. Since you told us. Okay, Sabby S, thank you for your super chat. Since you told us your least favorite animals and insects, what's your favorite animal and insects? And thank you for the channel. Love your channel. Thanks so much for your super chat. And I will answer your question right now. My favorite, I'm going to do my favorite insect and my favorite, I'm going to say, we'll say vertebrate, because obviously insects are animals. So we'll say my favorite insect. If I had to choose, I think the one I'd be most excited to find in the wild would be Cerygnathus titanus, the giant stag beetle. I think I would be floored if I was able to see that. So if I'm just going off of like, how would I feel should I catch one? That would give me the most excitement. As far as vertebrates would go, I think that in that same kind of vein, I would love to find a platypus. There's nothing like it, you know. I mean, that's one of the coolest things you could find is a platypus. So I think those are my answers: giant stag beetle, platypus. Great stuff. Are you a vegan or vegetarian? Refer to previous question answered. I am not. I was born and raised in West Texas. Good area, some cool stuff out there. I love you, Jack. I love you too. You ever keep assassin bugs? I sure have. I've kept a good handful of species. Some kissing bugs, some horrid assassins. You know, just some cool stuff. I'm not a huge assassin bug guy, so I didn't really keep a whole lot or for very long. Would you hold a funnel web? I would definitely try. I mean, just kind of like how I did with the wandering spider. Like, if it was calm, if I was able to illustrate a point by handling it, I absolutely would. If it's super defensive and scary, I don't know about that. I'm starting to love wandering spiders. They're so pretty. They're super cool. Have you had the chance to handle an extremely dangerous snake like a black mamba? I actually have handled a lot of really dangerous venomous snakes. Not always on camera. A good buddy of mine, my cameraman, does a lot of work with venomous snakes. He had a really large venomous snake collection for a long time. So I'd help him. We would take care of big old giant forest cobras, green mambas, king cobras, all that stuff. I'm no stranger to venomous snakes, and I've handled, quite a few. Let's see. Craziest looking between stick bugs or David Bowie spider? I don't understand that question. I think David Bowie spiders are really cool, pretty crazy looking arthropod. Whirligig beetles might be one of my favorite water beetles. They're really cool. Are you ever worried about an unexpected anaphylactic reaction to the stings that you take? Not really. I don't really have an allergy to them, but I do have EpiPens, just as a redundancy. But I'm not usually very worried about that. What about banana spiders? Are they venomous? Depends on what you mean by banana spider. There's tons of different definitions. I mean, tons of different species that go by that common name. If you mean wandering spiders like Phoeneutria and stuff, of course, they're dangerously venomous. If you mean Like garden spiders, which sometimes people call banana spiders. They're not dangerously venomous, but they are a venomous species of spider. They use venom to procure their prey. Most spiders are venomous. There's very few exceptions, but most have venom. It's just a matter of if they're dangerous to us or not. Let's see. I think we had another super chat, so I'm going to go find that. Did we? I don't see it. Michael Davis, thanks so much. Matthew, do you like comic book movies? I really do. I'm a big fan of comic book movies. I go and see just about everyone that comes out. Of course, I've already seen Across the Spider-Verse. I'll probably go see it a handful of more times while it's in the theaters. I'm a little partial to Spider-Man. In this universe, I'm probably as close as you guys are going to get. Let's see. Let me scroll back up. Stonefish sting. I don't know. The thing with vertebrate stings is it's like we know a lot more about them. So there's not as much like myth busting that goes on. Like Coyote, like he did so many stings that I like went back in and was like, actually, that's not really what happens. It's not as bad as it is. So there was like a purpose to it. Whereas like if I get bitten by a venomous snake or, jellyfish or something, like we know what that does to people because it's legitimately dangerous. And, we have to know in order to like help people who get into that sort of situation. So it's not really the same kind of goal that my videos are kind of centered around. Let's see. I love cicadas. I love the sound. If you had a choice, become a mortal lobster with a human mind or become an immortal human with a lobster mind, what would you choose? Well, lobsters can live for a really long time and you wouldn't have to pay like taxes or, go to like awkward family gatherings. You wouldn't have to remember to take the trash out. You wouldn't even have to wipe. So I think I'd be a mortal lobster with a human mind. I feel like I could be a really good lobster. And, live in the beautiful ocean, hang out. That sounds like a great idea. Instead of being immortal and then I'm just essentially a lobster in a human's body. Because then I'd just be like, people would be like, excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. The restroom is over there. You can't publicly urinate in this restaurant. And I'd like climb into the lobster tank and then drown because I have a lobster brain. That doesn't sound great, but that's a great question. Your videos help me overcome my fear of spiders slowly. Hey, any sort of overcoming your fear, that's what I like to hear. Essentially, I love when people use my videos as like exposure therapy of just kind of getting used to seeing spiders and them not being super dangerous, not being aggressive or anything like that. So that's what I'm here to do. So I'm really glad to hear that. Oh, we got plenty of super chats. Let me scroll down and answer these lovely people. Let's see. Matthew asked again, would you ever pin two cool bugs against each other for a fight to the death? Absolutely not. I do not support those stupid bug wars channels in any regard. It's ridiculous because it's just like killing animals basically for profit. Like there's no actual scientific like research that's being done. Two animals from opposite sides of the world, praying mantis versus giant Asian scorpion. The scorpion's obviously going to win. The mantis can't do anything against it. You're basically just, kind of morbidly feeding one animal to another. Nah, I don't do that kind of thing, but good question. Let's see. We got two super chats. Michael Davis, good buddy of mine, says, would you still say the Black Widow was the worst bite or sting you've taken? Absolutely. Still the worst. Garima says, just wanted to say thanks for all the great content. You are so very welcome. I try my best to produce this great content. I'm going to keep trying to do more of that. A special thank you to Sabby S, who just became a JWoww loyalty member. Again, I'm working on producing some more members-only content for you lovely people. I've got to kind of catch up on so much stuff that I'm doing right now. But once I've kind of gotten that rolling, then we will be doing pretty well for ourselves. All right, let's take a look. I'm trying to get back up to where we were. I'm so behind. I might just have to like start. Like we might just have to cut this, and then if you have a really important question you want, I might just have to read it from the bottom. Let's see. Oh my gosh, I'm just scrolling. Okay. Your videos help me overcome my fear of spiders slowly. Awesome. I saw Vespa tropica in my backyard. My dad thought it was a hummingbird. They're very big. They're hummingbird size, but that's super cool. Do the Japanese giant hornet. I'd like to. Hi, Jack. Would you take a sting from a box jellyfish? Not a full one. That would be deadly. Just a tiny bit. Maybe, but like I said, I'm not sure that there's really much myth busting I would do. I'm not really a pain ranking channel. A lot of people come in, they see me do, these types of videos and they think, oh, do a crocodile next, do a great white shark, do, a cine funnel web bite. Like they're not like getting, like the whole point is to show people that stuff that really isn't that dangerous, that people think is super dangerous or painful. Like I show them the truth. So you understand how it's not like I can go, oh, well, what about a black mamba bite? I'll take one of those. Come on, bite me. It's not the same video because that's just like a stunt that's dangerous versus teaching people about something that I think is really important. But it's a good question. So we'll see. It would be interesting. I'm not sure how that would really work. They're also really hard to find. Just the logistics of it would be extremely difficult. Do I ever freak out? Not to a great extent. I'll get nervous about something every once in a while, but I don't. I usually stay pretty cool headed. I have a million cicada killers on my property. If you want to come get one for a video, we got plenty of them around me. I just, you kind of got to be in the right spot to find them. Let's see, stream it. Maybe. Do you know about the blister beetle and how it was used as a psychoactive? I had read some about that. Really interesting stuff. There's a lot of really cool compounds within those types of beetles. Let's see. Maybe unlisting videos and post links on community page. It just would really kind of trash the data points on those videos. That's a good suggestion. YouTube is getting pretty strict on what they consider flaggable. You're telling me. When are you going to start working with snakes? I've been working with snakes. People just don't watch the videos very much. Like, I put up snake videos kind of often. We were in Thailand. I got multiple snake videos filmed there. I got a snake video out of Ecuador that you guys are going to see. I'm always looking for snakes. I film snakes all the time. Smash the like button. I appreciate that. Do that. Do you do much insect pinning? I used to do a lot, but my sister's cat ate all my insect specimens, and I never recovered from that. So I haven't been pinning in a while, but I have tons of specimens in the freezer, in my closet and stuff that I just never positioned. I would love to know what purpose roaches have. I can't find one. Roaches are super important. They are fantastic. And roaches are a huge group of insects. They do anything from being amazingly useful detritivores. So they clean up waste, whether that be in our homes or out in the forests of the world. They just help keep everything clean. And they're also really important prey items, food for a lot of other animals like lizards and spiders and bats and all sorts of other amazing creatures. So roaches are really important, and they're a really big pivotal component of their respective ecosystems because they perform a lot of services like cleaning stuff up, as well as play a big role in the food chain. So that is the purpose of roaches. Do I have a favorite extinct invertebrates? I do. I'd have to decide. There are a lot of really cool extinct ants. There are a lot of cool extinct spiders. That's a really good one. It's hard to beat Arthropleura. I mean, golly, that had to be the biggest sucker around. I'll say Arthropleura. Gigantic chylopod. Permian chylopod. No, Devonian chylopod. Let's see. Napoleon Dynamite chickens have large talons. Yeah, that's pretty funny. Hippos are great. Oh my gosh, I'm so far behind. Since killer bees are more aggressive, would they stand any chance against Asian giant hornets? Even honeybees are pretty effective. They can overheat and kill hornets pretty quickly. All right, we got another super chat. Let's see. Rachel says, thanks for the awesome videos. I love that you can show people facts about critters that they think are dangerous. I appreciate that. That is the goal. I like to show people the truth about these animals that I really, really like. Matthew, I didn't see this, but Matthew put another super chat in. I really appreciate you. He asks, Red Widow more dangerous than Black Widow? So there's some debate. As far as what I've read and as far as my understanding of the venom goes, Red Widow bites are less documented and less yield potentially than a Black Widow bite. But what it seems to do to the nerve endings when it bonds to them is that it seems to not wear off the same way as Black Widow venom. So, from my understanding, that could mean that you could have residual effects from a bite for potentially the rest of your life, more commonly with a Red Widow bite. As far as like severity and pain, we saw Spencer with My Wild Backyard. He got a pinch and release defensive bite from a Red Widow. He texted me and I was like, this is what you need to do. You need to like keep tabs on it. You know, hour 4 is when you're kind of know how serious it's going to get. And he just had pretty much localized soreness, very similar to my Brown Widow bite. So as far as like a general pinch and release bite, I would usually side with Black Widow being worse, just because a pinch and release bite is more venom, because a Black Widow is generally a larger spider. They're usually larger spiders than the Red Widows are. So you're getting more venom in that pinch and release. But if you like held a Red Widow on there, like if I held the Red Widow on for like as long as I did with my Southern Black Widow, I could see that being pretty nasty. Okay, I think. Oh, let's see here. I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to start after Rachel's comment because I keep getting lost in the chat. So if you have questions up at the top, comment them and I'm going to try and be faster with answering them so we can get to everybody. Is it weird that you remind me of a functional Charlie Kelly? Like if Charlie had a functional life, I feel like he would be getting bit by bugs on YouTube. That's super funny. I love Charlie. He's probably my favorite character. I'll take it as a compliment because I am functional and I can read. That totally would be something he'd be doing. Or being bitten by rats or something. He would be like the YouTube channel where it's like they put like a bucket and like a little spinning like Coke can, and then like the rats like fall in the bucket, but he would be at the bottom of the bucket and they would be chewing on him like he would be the bait. That's super funny. If you go to Colombia, can you show us Pablo Escobar's inbred hippos? That would be quite the feat. They are there. There's a large population of hippos. They're quite destructive. That would be something I'd like to see. Oh, let's see. Let me get to these. Would you ever make a video on poison ivy / poison oak and its effects on the skin? Maybe. The problem is I'm not really like sensitive to poison ivy, and I don't think poison oak either. So that's really subjective. Like I've seen some people just get huge boils on their skin from just barely brushing up against it, and I could probably rub it and get maybe a mild rash. Like I would really have to really try. If I could bring one extinct animal back, what would it be? That's a killer question. See, I have a few ways of answering that. Like obviously I would love to see a dinosaur, but it's like that wouldn't be very functional. Like it would die pretty quickly if we brought it back from extinction unless it just lived in captivity. So if it was like something I could bring back from extinction that like could still survive, then I would say something like, the thylacine, the Tasmanian tiger, or, woolly mammoths or something. And both of those I think are actually being worked on to bring back from extinction. But I love that question. If just purely for fun, I would say Carnotaurus because I love a good Carnotaurus. Do I hate Brave Wilderness? I really don't. I don't agree with the way that they've done a lot of videos. I don't hate them. They've got a lot of great people working there. I find Coyote to be really annoying, but I think that's a big facade that they've done to attract young children, young kid viewers to the channel. I don't really produce. I don't like to bring the content to the level of the kids. I think kids can understand a lot more than we give them credit for. I've taught a lot of classes. I've done a lot of tutoring. Like I like to treat everyone like they're a human being, and they might have a smaller vocabulary because they're younger. But I don't like to just kind of have to put on a show to get kids to watch. So I think that's why I find him irksome, is because I feel like he hams stuff up to entertain kids, and then at the same time delivers insincere kind of performances, so to speak. But there's some great people working over there. Mario, a great, super talented, super educated biologist. I have nothing against most of the people over at Brave Wilderness. There's just a lot of on-camera personalities that I think, are just too over the top, and I don't agree with the way that they do stuff. But that's a great question. I don't have any negative feelings towards them. They reach millions of people. That's millions of kids and people that are interested in animals, that are interested in invertebrates. And yeah, a lot of them get scared because of the way that it's presented. But a lot of those kids will grow up to learn better and pursue careers in entomology and biology and stuff. That's their canon event is, getting interested in animals. And for me, it was watching Steve Irwin and Jeff Corwin and Animal Planet. For these kids, it's watching Coyote. And in that regard, there's a benefit there. I have two. Okay, I can't diagnose you over a live stream. I have two indents right next to each other. They have small red dots, but very small. It's a little pink. What do you think it could be? I have no idea. Usually, when people tell me they have indents or like fang marks, it's something completely different. Spiders really don't leave bite marks unless it's something really big, like a tarantula. Thank you so much. We got another JWoww loyalty member. Thank you for joining. Again, exclusive access to some cool stuff. And please let me know. I post stuff in the membership exclusive community where only the members can see it. I'm like, hey guys, what's up? What kind of stuff do you guys want to see? Like, I'm gonna work on producing some exclusive stuff for you guys. Crickets. Nobody answers me. And I'm like, I guess, all right, I'll post something behind the scenes this week, or I'll give you guys an exclusive video, and then like one person will watch it and they'll be like, "Oh, that was really cool." I'm like, "Guys, I've got a handful of members, and once you get a certain amount, I can display you guys like on the video. I can say thanks to our channel members, and it'll show you guys all on there." But everybody's like, I don't know. It's great if you guys just want to support me, but I'd like to give you stuff if you're, giving me your membership. You know what I mean? So let me know, all you new members from this live stream. Go to the members only. You'll be able to see it. It'll say members only. Answer me. All right. Would I take a bite from M. balfouri? I don't know if I'll do more tarantula bites. My last one got flagged, which really stinks, and that was going to be a good introduction to tarantulas. And if it gets flagged by YouTube, I don't like to be bitten by gigantic venomous spiders, surprisingly. So if it doesn't reach anybody, if it doesn't change anybody's mind, and my channel gets penalized for it, you're killing me, So we'll see, maybe, but I don't know. So will we get bitten by a huntsman next? Huntsman, I'd be open. I mean, they're not very toxic at all. But again, I really have to figure out this stuff with YouTube censoring or messing with my bite videos and stuff. Is Vespa tropica still my worst sting? Yes, it is. It still beats Polistes annularis by a significant margin. Actually, I have a real question. I'm not sure if I have false widows in my basement or northern black widows. What would you recommend? I do have young kids. Spiders that you see, harmless. The false widow, again, not nearly the same level of danger as, say, a black widow would be. You're gonna want to be able to tell. Northern black widow is very easy to tell if it's a black widow. They've got a really big red hourglass. You can always remove them if you absolutely have to, but usually if they're kind of away in the basement, there's not a lot of like influx of prey. There's usually not a very big population that's able to grow down there. If they're kind of out of the way, just tell your kids, don't mess with spiders in there. Don't put on, check your shoes if you leave them down there. But if it's a place that you're frequenting, if you're having an issue with a lot of spiders down there, I'm not going to tell you you're not allowed to, clear out pest species from your home. I know you got this question probably a lot, but how do you conquer the fear of being bitten? After the first many times, and it's just not as bad as you like thinking it's going to be in your head. You're just kind of like, oh, especially for stuff I've done before, like wasps, ants. I'm used to that kind of thing. What only makes me kind of nervous, I don't really get very fearful, but nervous is when I try something completely new because I don't know what to expect. I don't know how bad it's going to hurt. I don't know what to kind of brace for. So that's kind of, I mean, it's just exposure. I just do it so much that wasps and stuff, I'm like, all right, ready to go. Let's do it. It's just not as big of a deal. Hi, Jack. Love your content. Would you ever consider going to the Congo and visiting gorillas? Love to film gorillas. I love great apes. I have a goal for myself to see every species of great ape in the wild. Gorillas, of course, would be high on that list. I would love to go to Africa. I would love to film gorillas. What small creature surprised you the most? I don't know. Most recently, that copperhead we found in that night hike video. I was not expecting to find a copperhead sitting in like 7 feet up in a tree outside of cicada season. It just seemed to be resting in ambush up there or basking or whatever. I don't know. So that was really, really surprising. That was really strange. I was not expecting it. How do I get over my fear of touching bugs? I love bugs, but the second they touch me, I freak out. Again, it's exposure, find a bug that's less creepy than the rest and try your best to stomach letting it crawl on you and walk around. But at the end of the day, as long as you're fine with bugs, you don't really even need to touch them. Katydids are the scariest. There's some scary carnivorous ones for sure. Let's see. Oh, do we get a new member? Okay, perfect. Michael Davis, welcome to being a member. That's great. Glad to have you, bud. Matthew asks, Bigfoot real or hoax? If this is a reference to Coyote's video, then that gets a big old stamp hoax on that one. But I am I subscribe to some idea of, I believe in some cryptids. Bigfoot, Sasquatch, that's one of the few that I'm like, maybe there's something there. I mean, the fact that for hundreds, if not thousands of years, we've had people in and around these areas saying, yeah, there's a Sasquatch out there. You kind of go, okay, maybe there's something that's really good at hiding. I mean, people really underestimate the secretive capabilities of things like larger apes. I mean, especially a sympatric species, a species that's like evolved alongside humans. Obviously, they would be having conflict, and a solitary ape that's able to traverse, some nasty stuff up in like British Columbia and Canada and the Pacific Northwest. I mean, that's some rough bush out there, And so to have a large animal, maybe primarily cave dwelling, maybe primarily subterranean. I mean, we have so many unexplored regions, so many unexplored biomes, so to speak, that there's really no way to say for certain that something that so many people claim to see is in fact a hoax or not real, or everybody's just making it up. I mean, if think about it, like, if you saw an alien land on top of your house and nobody else saw it, like, you're not going to go around being like, oh man, I saw an alien. People are going to be like, you're crazy. We're going to lock you up. Like, for you to actually go out of your way to be like, I saw Bigfoot, you have to like already be kind of like, this is worth me, kind of getting crapped on for being a crazy hoo-ha, so I don't know. Would I be surprised if there's a Bigfoot? I'd be shocked to have hard evidence, but I wouldn't be like, this destroys the entire idea I had of the world. I'd be like, that's really cool. New bite video. Hi, Jack. Speaking from the UK here. Have you ever ended up in hospital from a bite or sting that was serious? And is there any insect or animal that you wouldn't ever handle? I've never been hospitalized by an animal. Is there any insect or animal that I wouldn't ever handle? An extremely defensive animal that has a dangerous bite or sting. Other than that, I handle some dangerous stuff. Because if I feel that the animal is calm, if I feel that I can illustrate a point by handling it, then I'll do it. Um, so great question. Would you ever have a boxing match with Coyote for charity? Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. I did like so limited such I had such a limited career in martial arts. From what I know of Coyote, he's not a big guy. Like we're comparable in size. And I'm younger, so I guess and I deal with pain, I guess, better unless it's all just a farce, a show. For charity, for a good cause, for conservation, sure. Box for conservation, boxersation. Yeah. So you guys just tag Coyote in the comments, tell him we're gonna box for conservation. No, I'm just kidding. But would I be like, oh no, I couldn't do that? I don't know. I mean, it's good publicity, I guess. It would be a shocking event to occur, but that's green badge. That's what I'm talking about. I keep a female Pamphibetus. Um, what's the best bioactive enclosure I can create for? Honestly, I like to give tarantulas a lot of space and a little space, if that makes sense. So usually I kind of will plan around how much space they'll utilize in the wild. Usually what I err on is real deep substrate layers, lots of places to hide and web up, but fairly simple. They don't need a ton of stuff. They're going to spend most of their time kind of in burrows and webbing up, their kind of one little area, and then they're just going to hunker down. So they usually don't need a lot of space, but I like to optimize, the enclosure that I give them. So usually I say, an appropriate amount of space, 5, 10, 20 gallons, equivalent size, whether that's an Exoterra or whatever. Lots of, deep, good substrate where she can kind of, get around and dig into if she wants. And, keep it simple, keep it sweet. We're in the member gang now. That's what I'm talking about. On average, how long does it take you to find Scolopendra heroes when you take trips out to find them? The giant centipedes, they can be few and far between, or they can be under every rock. It really depends on. It's completely random. Sometimes same spot. I'll go to one spot and you'll flip 5 in a day, and that's over the course of 6 hours maybe that we're flipping around looking for them. 1 an hour, or 3 the first hour, 2 hours of nothing. And then 1 for each sequential hour. Sometimes you'll go and you won't see a single one, whether it's like, hasn't rained or it's rained too much or whatever, like they're just gone. And so it's completely random. Usually what we do is we just cross our fingers, hope for the best, go somewhere where we've seen a lot. And then that's usually enough to get us at least 1 or 2. Good question. Woohoo, made alive. That's right. What's the best state to roam for critters and bugs? Totally depends on what you want. I think for me personally, Florida's great. Alabama, Mississippi, the Carolinas have some amazing diversity. There's some great places in Texas, great places in Louisiana, fantastic places in Arizona. There's a lot of diversity, a lot of cool stuff around. That's a hard question. It really depends on what you're looking for. For bugs, it's hard to beat like Florida, the Carolinas, and Arizona. I mean, and Texas. Those are all just hot spots. You can find pretty much just about everything you want to find. Um, what's a good alternative to crickets that aren't noisy? I want to let something go in my tank. It has wild caught wolf spiders in it. Roaches. People are like, oh, roaches. Roaches are great. I used them as feeder insects for forever. I bred dubia roaches. They're pretty clean. They don't smell. They can't climb slick surfaces. I love roaches. They're just perfect. Is there any insect that you considered backing out of taking a bite from? Black Widow, I wish I backed out. But no, it's helped grow the channel a lot. I don't think so. I think every single one I've done, I've been like, oh, that wasn't so bad. Um, Matthew says, support Jack now. And Sabby S says, honestly, I just want to support because your channel rocks. I really appreciate you guys. Flex Your Freedom gifted another Jack's World of Wildlife membership. I'm missing that. We've got so many new comments. All right, I gotta go fast. YouTube slowly killing the platform. It's been really tough. I mean, they've cracked down on a lot of stuff that they needed to crack down on, but there's so much stuff like I'm not a small channel, and I feel like they're just treating me like a small channel that's inconsequential. They're just like, "Oh, you had an issue, so forget your channel, man." Like, come on, there's real people we got to worry about. There's real people making us money. I'm like, I'd be making you guys a lot of money if you'd stop beating the crap out of my videos. Just give me last summer's numbers and let's go our separate ways. Sheesh. I'm just having to fight them the whole way. I don't mind, grinding to do YouTube, but, it's a lot of time, sweat, and money that goes into this stuff. And so it sucks when YouTube's working against me rather than, suggesting my content and having people see it. YouTube's been changing for the worse, sadly. I hate the way they have the algorithm working. I released a video today, got 9K views in the first hour, then it kills off. I know, it's crazy. They're like, oh, you have so many returning viewers. The view duration is so good. Everybody loves it. They love your content, dude. Let's not suggest it to a single person for the rest of the year. Does that sound good? You're killing me, YouTube. You're killing me. Jason says, hey, dude, love your content. You have a great way of presenting information in a fun and informative way. What's your favorite insect? I love velvet ants. They are like furry little tanks. Thank you. My favorite insect is the giant stag beetle. Right now. It changes. But right now, giant stag beetle. Ceragnathus titanus. Big ol' thing. Let's see here. Have you ever seen a yellow sac spider? I'm pretty sure I had one in my car and later found they are attracted to gasoline. LOL. I have not seen a yellow sac spider, but I've heard plenty of stories about how dangerous they are and what their bites can do. Again, it's much like the brown recluse that we have here. It's even a brown recluse actually has stuff in it that like you could make the argument for the necrosis and stuff like that. Yellow sac spider is like a harmless spider. I have no idea if they're attracted to gasoline. That sounds like something that's made up because there's a lot about those spiders that's made up. But maybe I could be wrong. I just haven't never heard of that. Have I ever had to deal with poachers or potentially dangerous people in your travels? That's a great question. Not ever. I've gotten scammed by like taxi drivers in Costa Rica, but like never like dangerous people. I've never been like robbed or like run into like armed poachers or anything like that. I've been pretty lucky, even the places that we've gone to. We've been safe. We haven't run into any poachers that try to, shoot us in the jungle or anything. I feel so bad for your fame compared to coyotes. Thank you. It's more believable than Megalodon, at least. A billion times more believable than Megalodon. I do not believe that Megalodon is still around. People are like, well, we haven't explored the bottom of the ocean. I'm like, Megalodon's a shallow sea, like whale specialist. Like it's eating whales. Like we would see if a freaking 35-foot plus shark, 50-foot plus shark was like dogging humpback whales. Like we would see that. Like it's not living in the crushing depths eating nothing, And don't even get me started on the Mega 2 trailer where it's like for 65 million years, like Megalodon existed in the Cretaceous eating dinosaurs. They're like a contemporary shark. They ate whales. We didn't have whales in the Cretaceous. Anyway, don't even get me started. Let's see. How do you rank the giant centipede pain compared with Vespa Tropica? Less intense and lasted a lot less of a duration. It was pretty much gone pretty quickly. Jack, you have an enthusiasm unknown to mankind, and you're an overall badass. Thank you. Megalodon existed though, and Gigantopithecus is what I assume you mean. Gigantopithecus was a huge primate. Yep, they both existed. The thing is that I don't believe that they're still around. Bigfoot, I don't believe is a Gigantopithecus. Maybe share a common ancestor or something like that. But the information we have on Gigantopithecus is very likely a more closely related to orangutans, probably a very large troop grazer, sort of, so to speak, much like a modern day gorilla, but a bipedal, fast moving, fairly solitary, temperate ape, would be quite the discovery, and it would be unlike anything we really have fossil record of at this current time. Do you feel like you've grown a tolerance to certain stings and bites? I've been stung by fire ants and mosquitoes enough that they do nothing. Just curious if this is normal. Maybe I don't feel like I'm building up a tolerance in terms of like pain. I'm just like, I know what to expect, sort of thing. But I mean, maybe I think what would be more likely is I would have like nerve damage in my arm. But I mean, I can still feel my arm. Like it's just as sensitive as this arm, which gets less beat up all the time. But maybe I do build up at least a mild tolerance. The thing is too, is that all of the bites and stings are so different. It's not like I'm getting introduced to the same thing over and over and over again. It's like, this is a very different venom. This is a very different venom. This is a very different venom. So it's not that it's compounding all a similar type of venom. So I'm building up an immunity to that specific type of venom because it's all over the place. Bigfoot have the power to lower camera quality. I'm for real. Every video we get of them seems to be filmed on a potato or something. Let's see. I'd love to see you go to Brazil and do the bullet ant glove. Maybe something I do. Hey Jack, I saw a Hercules beetle in my backyard. I was wondering if I've ever found one. I've found many, but I've never found one while I've gone out to go film. So I don't have an Eastern Hercules beetle video, and I'm hoping to get one done this year. Ironically, I have the pretty much rarest dynastid beetle in Texas. I have a video on them, Megasoma vodi, the Texas elephant beetle, but not Eastern Hercules beetles, which you can just find at like gas stations and stuff all the time. So I definitely am trying to find some this year. I got brand new light trap. I'm ready to go. Would you box a kangaroo? Whew. Man, those kickboxers, they don't mess around. I mean, they can gore you. Oh, Matthew says, Jack, got to go. Watching Guardians 3 with the wife. Enjoy it. It's a big tear jerker. I appreciate your support, Matthew. I'll see you next time. Thanks so much. Enjoy your movie. Let's see here. Back to where I go. Peterson weighs like 90 pounds. He's a short guy. I mean, from what I know, I think he's like 5'4". I could be wrong, but he's on the shorter side. I don't think he weighs 90 pounds though, but I don't know. Coyote versus Jack in a sting kill on pole match. I hate to embarrass the guy. Awesome. I made it. Coyote pretends too much. I came to you for your honest sting reviews. Thank you. Does Coyote know of you at all? Wow, we're getting so many Coyote comments in a row. I know for a fact that the Brave Wilderness team is aware of my videos, and that's all that I know. I assume Coyote's seen my videos. I mean, they're not necessarily like at 100 views or anything. And, I'm sure people tag my stuff. I don't watch his stuff. I've never actually watched a full video of his. I've seen a handful of like clips taken from videos, and I was like, I can't sit down and watch that. But I don't watch his stuff because I don't really watch a lot of other wildlife presenters. I'll watch my friends and stuff, but I don't want to like ever really like pull from somebody's like style. I like to be really organic with the way that I do things. Sometimes I'll, take some tips and tricks, from people, or try, something that I see some other person doing, but I like to, forge my own path, so to speak. So I don't watch a lot of stuff. So I'm sure they've seen many things. So The wandering spider you held, was it the exact same as the Brazilian wandering spider? So it's a species of Brazilian wandering spider. So technically, wandering spiders are a whole family called Ctenidae. So you can say wandering spider and refer to any of them. The Brazilian wandering spider, the nominal species, so to speak, is usually either Phonutria nigraventer or Phonutria fera. That's usually what people, when you say Brazilian wandering spider, usually people are thinking one of those two species. However, that genus Phonutria, the common name essentially attributed to anything in that genus, is also Brazilian wandering spider. So it just kind of depends on how you ask the question. So technically, it's a Brazilian wandering spider species. But if you're saying, is it the true Brazilian wandering spider, you're most likely thinking of Phonutria fera or nigraventer. So to answer your question, not exactly. Love your videos, by the way. Thanks so much. My 5-year-old was terrified of our tarantula hawks because of a video that dude made. I was so thankful when I found yours and I can show him not to be so fearful of them because we have lots. That's amazing. Because again, like, you're scared. Like, you see him like screeching at the top of his lungs. And it's like, number one, a tarantula hawk would like never sting you. Like, they would just fly in the other direction. Like, they're solitary wasps. They're not defending a nest. They have no reason to have a defensive sting. And unless they get like stuck in a pant leg or something, they're not going to go out of their way to sting you. So it's like, just wave at them and they'll fly off, you know? So it's great that, I mean, that's the whole reason I made the channel, is because I was seeing people be like, oh, I never knew that just hurt so much. Thanks. I'm going to smash every single one I see. And I'm like, you're trying to educate people about stuff, and all they're getting out of it is that they need to kill every single tarantula hawk that they see. That's awful. That's awful. They're sweet. They're sweet and important wasps. Okay, last question. Thanks so much for answering. You took a bite from centipede. Coyote took a desert one. Was that the same species? Was the centipede worse than any insect or hornet's? Different species, same genus. So I took a bite from Scolopendra alternans, the Caribbean giant centipede. The bite Coyote took was a giant desert centipede, which is a color morph of Scolopendra heros. The bite was worse than most insect stings, but it just like didn't last very long. I didn't really have a lot of swelling and stuff. Like, it was pretty good. It was a pretty gnarly bite. Like, you can see my reaction in that video is usually a little bit more than I give with, you know, some other stuff, but it wasn't anything crazy, and it went away really fast. Hey, to respond to the question about a cricket alternative, I'm not doing roaches. Yeah, that's usually what people give me there. I used to work at a reptile shop, and they'd be like, can I feed my animal something other than like small crickets and mealworms?" I'm like, well, you know, those aren't really super nutritious. What you need to be feeding them is dubia roaches, tons of protein, tons of fat. You can really gut load them. And they'd be like, roaches? I don't want to do roaches. I'm like, no, it's like, they're not that gross. Like, they can't climb, they don't stink, they don't chirp, they don't get out, and they're amazing. They're like, can somebody else help me? And I'm like, geez. Would you go to Denmark and take a bite from the venomous Little Mermaid? That would be pretty scary. I actually had a fear of mermaids when I was younger, from like Pirates of the Caribbean mermaids and like, you know, the Jeremy Sumter Peter Pan mermaids. Like, those are scary mermaids, you know? Like, that's scary. I don't want to get like drowned and eaten by a siren of the sea, you know? So I'm going to say, no, that's scary. I've been feeding them mealworms. There's 3 in there right now. I think they are grass wolf spiders, probably Rabidosa. Rabid wolf spiders is usually what people call grass. They got like the stripes, the white cream stripes on the top. You need to do more collabs. I am gonna do some more collabs before the end of the year, I'm sure. We'll get some more collabs for you guys, and hopefully that'll help supplement some of those numbers. Because I got the connections. I'm getting up there. I'll never stop watching and sharing your videos. Thank you so much, Steven. Go do a collab with a popular gun channel or something. Yeah, maybe do a collab with Coyote. Are we still live? We sure are. I'm still answering questions. YouTube really does screw with you a lot. I don't see anything unless I remember to check your channel. It's just like, come on. Like, people love it. I don't understand why you wouldn't suggest it to people. I know a guy who has a channel with music video reactions. He had almost 1 million subs, and YouTube started blocking almost all his stuff too. It's just like, what a shame. Like, we're here to make videos. People like it. If like something's actually happening that's like dangerous or like illegal, like, then you can step in. But like until then, like, I don't see what the problem is. Had a brown recluse outside my house the other night. It wasn't small. I'm from Michigan. Do you think they are dangerous? I don't think that they're dangerous. And if you see them, they're 100% not dangerous. And there's no way that they'll bite you. Michigan, you only have brown recluses range into like far southern Michigan. So if you're anywhere north of just like the absolute bottom of the state, it was unlikely that it was even a brown recluse in the first place. They don't really get high up in there. It's too cold. Hit the bell icons, like notify everything. Thank you so much. Yeah, any way that you guys can keep up with uploads and stuff. A silver button would look dope on that wall. We're so close. We're so close, folks. I mean, 100K is right around the corner. Even with just like trudging along, we're really close. Let's see. I know that's not a channel like this, but have you ever thought to reach out to Houston Jones, being strongest human being in the world, to see who has the strongest pain resistance against insect bites? He does a lot of crazy stunts. I'm sure he would. I'm sure he'd be able to track really easily. The thing is like sometimes people are really like get in their head about that it's this huge creature that's going to bite or sting them, and it kind of freaks them out a little bit. What spider gets you the most excited to see or work with? Probably Sydney funnel web. Those are just so cool. Really gets the blood pumping. They're really cool spiders. Remember to hit the like for the video. I appreciate that. I've been bitten by yellow sac spiders. It really stings, but it didn't do anything else. Is Coyote Peterson faking it? In my opinion, he over-exaggerates for views. Yes, that is my professional opinion as someone who's taken like 90% of the same bites and stings as he has. Would I ever do snake bites? I kind of answered this question before. Most likely not, unless it was something that I could effectively like myth bust or prove a point with. Like, there's really no need for me to do that. We've got a good understanding of how that stuff goes. Would you do the bullet ant gloves? Maybe. It'd be pretty rough. I'd imagine the amount of neurotoxin that you'd receive from the bullet ant gloves, it would feel similar to my effects that I experienced with the Black Widow bite, which, if you guys remember or saw that video, was not very pleasant. Kimberly, I got bitten by a yellow sac as well. I got a hive the size of a tennis ball and it itched to all hell. Other than that, not much else. Yeah. They can be itchy, they can be irritating, but people who are like, oh no, big necrosis or whatever, it's usually not. I've taken a few trips out to Arizona, around Tucson, for 5 to 7 days looking for heroes. I still haven't found anything. Do you think they're more rare in Arizona or something, or am I just really unlucky? As far as I know, they're usually fairly easy to find. It depends on how you're looking for them, though. I mean, I've got friends who flip for them, but I see that a lot of people will see them out on the move, out on the hunt at night. So maybe if you're not doing a lot of night hiking, I would try that. That can really inflate your chances. Do you believe that Titanoboa existed? Yes, I do. We have fossil record of that. Will you do any fossil finding type videos for dinosaurs? Seems like you know a lot about it, and it would be cool. I bought a Spinosaurus tooth last month. It's awesome. Yes, I've thought about doing some fossil videos. I am in the process of maybe making a second channel to do some prehistoric content, but that's in its very, very, very minute infancy at the moment. You guys are the first people to hear about it outside of like my inner circle of creatives that I talk to about it. But this channel would basically be like funding the growth of another channel. So until this channel is a little more self-sufficient, that is a little bit on the back burner. It's also, I don't have a ton of great spots for actual fossil hunting. Let's see. What is my favorite bug? Giant stag beetle. I think there are a lot of scolopendra heroes in southeastern Colorado. There's plenty of them up there. Would you take a bite from a funnel web spider to prove we don't need to fear it? I wouldn't, but I would probably handle one. Um, I'll only be here for a second. Have to go and try and find my first Brewster County Alterna. That's pretty cool. Have I ever been bitten by a giant water bug? I think that's the only coyote video that he didn't overreact too much. I got bit on my thigh once when I was swimming in a pond. Those little guys sting. I might do it. I mean, I did wheel bug. I can't imagine it's much different than that. Hello there, Jack. You have a fan from Sweden. Love how you care about animals. Thank you so much. Did you have any lingering effects from any of your bites? Not really. I mean, I've got like a little bit. Can you even see? Probably not. I mean, I've got like a little bit of scarring on my arm, like there. You can only see it on the thing. I have a little bit of scarring, but nothing residual or anything like that. Did you study entomology or are you self-educated? I've been wondering about this for a long time. I'm almost entirely self-educated. I was going to school on track for a degree in biology and entomology, and I decided that I wanted to do this right now and reach as many people as possible. Because obviously I'm really passionate about this stuff, so I know a lot about it, and I felt like I was just going to school to get a piece of paper to just show people and say, "See, I know about bugs." People are like, "We knew that already. You're freaking obsessed with bugs." Great question. I don't have a formal degree currently. It's something that I, would still, greatly consider pursuing in the future. But as of right now, I think my efforts are better, uh, are put to better use, concentrated on the channel. Wondering if you met YouTuber My Wild Backyard. Maybe it's your friend. Love to hear. Yes, I am personal friends with Spencer. We were actually just talking today. Yep, here he is. I'll give you his personal cell phone. No, I'm just kidding. So we were just talking about uh he just uploaded his Wandering Spider video. That's actually Coopy but that's Spencer. Yep, we're buddies. We've met in person. We've done a few videos together. Have you guys not seen them? We did a spider venom test. That was like our big collab. And then there's a few videos I'm in on his channel that you can find from his Texas series. He came down. That was with me. I helped him film some stuff down here. I'm sorry. I've got to go now. All good. Thank you for joining. The Insect Hunter said he did not. Where did that go? Okay. The Insect Hunter said he did not really like what Coyote was doing either. Yeah, a lot of people have issue with the way he's done stuff. Yes, you would let Executioner sting you on one of your pinky toes? Maybe. I mean, that'd be kind of annoying to walk around with that. You help my fear of wasps. Been struck more than my fair share, but your red wasp videos in particular have been rehabilitating. That's great to hear. Again, it's like, I feel like the problem is that most people's interactions with these animals are negative. Like, they don't think about wasps until they're being stung by one. And so that's one of the big things I like to show on my channel is like, you get to see them close up. They're kind of really pretty looking. There's like so many different colors that they come in, and they're really not interested in stinging you unless they feel like you're going to destroy their nest or kill them. So it's like, if you just see a wasp flying out and around, like, most people are like, oh, it's a wasp or whatever, I'm like, just fly right by you. It's not any kind of thing to be worried about. So I'm glad that these videos are helping you. Is it dangerous to be bitten by a Brazilian wandering spider? It definitely can be. It definitely can be, especially without treatment. If you're bitten by a Brazilian wandering spider, you're definitely going to want to pop by a hospital. Any plans on doing a video on Trimorphic Vital or Corabora diversa? Both great species of ants. I want to break more into ant content. I've got some more equipment I can film ants a little more effectively on, and I've started doing a few more ant videos, but I have not come across some of the really cool species. So it just, if I come across them in my travels, absolutely, I'll be filming them. I'm in South Michigan. Okay, well, maybe it was a big old brown recluse then. Would you take a sting between the webbing of your toes from a giant hornet? I don't know about all that. I took a shower with a male brown recluse, and after a serious conversation about how a relationship between us wouldn't work and how rude he was for seeing me naked, I took him outside to find a girl. Great story. Houston Jones rocks. I've been subbed to him for a few years. I've had a lot of subscribers. Like I can see like who my subscribers like also watch, and he's always been kind of a top contender. Again, I think that's another reason why people like ask for like increasingly dangerous stuff from me because they're like, oh, you're just like a pain ranking channel, like you're doing stunts and stuff. Not really. That's not really what I'm here to do. I was bit twice in my right ankle by a pygmy rattler when I was just a kid. My whole leg swelled up to my waist. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty nasty venom. I mean, it's really hemotoxic. Does a lot to you. Um, kind of like Michigan, which is northern. I've seen brown recluses and black widows. Black widows are up there. Brown recluse shouldn't be up there. There's a lot of different species that would look like a brown recluse, but generally, uh, when it's outside of range, I can almost 100% guarantee that's most likely not a brown recluse. It's unlikely that they kind of like hitchhike to somewhere hundreds of miles from the northernmost part of their range. I was bit. I got you. I read it. Any thoughts on hobo spiders or whitetail spiders? Both harmless. In fact, any person who's actually attempted to do what I do with a hobo spider, like how I do with brown recluse to get them to bite, they've not been able to self-inflict a bite from a hobo spider to prove that they're harmless. So, like, if you can't even force a hobo spider to bite you, how are we attributing nasty bites to them? I would love to test one, but I'm completely out of range of hobo spiders. If I ever find myself up west, I'll try and find one. What about bullet ant glove? But instead of your hand, it's a glove for yikes. I don't think so. What is the longest flight I've taken on my filming adventures? The longest continuous flight was to Australia in 2018. That was just over 17 hours. As far as longest like travel time, I've spent like over 30 hours getting to places before to get good deals on flights. This most recent time, it was like 30 plus hours to get from DFW airport to Ecuador and Galapagos. Nasty. You don't need a degree, buddy. You rock just the way you are. I appreciate that. Love your channel. Ever think of anti-venom studies with all these bites and stings? Potentially. The thing with like again, like there's a lot of like gray area with like venom testing, anti-venom videos. Like it's really difficult to like articulate what's going on and to like do it in a controlled setting where you're like actually getting the right information. So it can be difficult to say the least in order to like actually get the actual information that you're wanting to report. Because I mean, I could ham it up and make stuff up, but that's not what you guys want to see. You want to see the truth, right? That's what you come to me for. Coyote Peterson is really cool and shares the same compassion for animals and insects that you do. By golly, Willikers, be nice to him. Like I said, it's not that I completely don't have any issues with him. He's done a lot of things that I don't condone or agree with. And he has been rough with certain animals and stuff, done things with certain animals I wouldn't have done. But again, I mean, he's just doing what he's trying to do to, get exposure and have a successful YouTube channel. And it's not like I can really blame him that much for that. I just don't agree with some of his stuff. I was terrified of spiders my whole life, but still fascinated by them. At 40, I bought a tarantula, and now I have 9 tarantulas, a scorpion, and other inverts. That's fantastic. I'm obsessed. When you're forced to care for something, you start to see it differently. It's true. And you realize that they're not that bad. What was your biggest influence for what you do? I'm guessing Steve Irwin. He was an incredible person. Your passion and love for wildlife reminds me of him when I watch your videos. Thank you so much. Definitely Steve Irwin. I watched a lot of Steve Irwin. I watched a lot of Jeff Corwin. I watched a lot of Zaboomafoo as a kid, as well as, documentaries and stuff. I've always loved animals, but as far as like, I mean, you can't ignore, the captivation that Steve's passion for conservation and wildlife, has on you. Like you are trapped in that. It's so it just draws you in. And I do hope that people at least get, the tiniest glimmer of that in my videos, where they, are seeing something so crazy and dangerous, an animal that they just would be so terrified of if they ran into it, and seeing somebody just like gush over how excited they are and how beautiful the creature is, like that's the same vibe. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to show people, you don't have to like this stuff, but look how much I like it. And why do I like it? I'm going to tell you. And then why were you afraid of it? You don't really need to think that way about those animals anymore. Um, so yeah, Steve Irwin was probably easily the front runner as far as like inspiration goes. Let's see. Bruce asks, we got lots of paper style wasps in our backyard and they coexist with us in peace. I do my work in my garden. They can fly next to me and they just go on with their business. Yep, exactly. They're like they're used to you. Yeah, 100%. I mean, they're not aggressive. They're defensive. So if they don't feel threatened, if you're always around and you don't get in their space and you don't mess with their nest, like they don't care. Thank you for reading all these comments so thoroughly. I'm really trying. There's a lot that pours in. I mean, it's hard to keep up with everything and answer. I don't know why, but orb weavers terrify my brother. Well, they can be a little spooky. Uh, yeah, brown recluse are not everywhere and are mislabeled so much. It's so true. I mean, especially with my videos and stuff, like half of all the comments on my brown recluse bite videos were like, "This is wrong. I live in South Florida. My grandma in Homestead was bitten by a brown recluse, and she almost lost her arm." I'm like, "There's no brown recluse in South Florida." They're like, "Well, maybe one came in on a plane." I'm like, do you realize how unlikely that is? Like, it sounds like textbook bacterial infection. And they're like, "No, I swear, I live in Oregon and I got bit by brown recluse." I'm like, "There's no brown recluse in Oregon." And they're like, "Well, maybe one came out." I've had people try and claim, yeah, I mean, like, you'll see, like, there will be pinpoints, like, where they'll report brown recluse bites, like in upstate New York. And they'll be like, "Oh, yeah, it's brown recluse bite." And then they go back and it's like, actually, that was MRSA. And if you try and treat MRSA like a brown recluse bite, like you can get sued for malpractice. Like somebody could die. It's a completely different thing. Like, why are we so obsessed with blaming spiders and then like treating people improperly, incorrectly? Because a spider bite, a brown recluse in particular, usually the treatment is going to be steroids. You're going to basically beef up your immune system to process and remove that venom, take it out. For bacterial infection, you want to be on antibiotics. Antibiotics not going to work on spider bite, right? So I get so many people say, "Oh yeah, I had a good doctor put me on a round of antibiotics." I'm like, "And they worked?" And they're like, "Yeah, kick that brown recluse bite's butt." I said, "Okay, well, that's a bacterial infection. That's what antibiotics are for, killing bacteria. Spider venom isn't alive. Antibiotics are going to do nothing to it, Anyway, yeah. So annoying. How many spiders are in my house? I actually have no spiders. I'm in my apartment right now. My wife does not like spiders. So I don't have any pet spiders over here. I have in my frog room, which is not at my apartment. I have my last widow that I have is my Latrodectus minivodi, Madagascan widow spider. But she's not allowed to live here. Jack, how long have you been working with animals? My whole life, in some way, shape, or form. I've always had animals, pets, or been catching them. So all almost 24 years of my life, I've been doing all this stuff. All right, we got a few more things pooling in. Let's see. Zaboomafoo was the best. I agree. Bro, I love Steve Irwin. He was only one of two celebrities I actually cried for when I learned that they passed away. Him and Robin Williams, both just treasures that were gone far too soon. Thank you for your time and doing a live stream. I'm starting to like you more and more. Great. Glad to hear it. I'm glad that this live stream didn't ruin the image of me that you have in your head. And I cried when I learned of Mr. Rogers when he passed. Of course, he was a classic. I did a bit of an homage to him in my first Christmas special all the way back in 2018. we did a Bob Ross and a Mr. Rogers like bit in that, which was really fun. I haven't done a Christmas special since then because it was brutal to film and put together. I had my cousin help me, and we were like working like 20 hours a day because we like decided to start it like 4 days before Christmas or something. And so we're like, oh, well, we have to have it come out before Christmas. But we like went way too into it. So we had all the special effects and like stuff we had to like key out and then like render. And I was like, we're not gonna have time to finish it. And so we had such a traumatic experience from that that we just never ended up doing another Christmas special, which is kind of a shame because that one people really liked. So if you haven't seen that Christmas special, go all the way back and watch it. It's from forever ago. But it was fun. It was fun filming it, but putting it together at the right, right before Christmas, and we're like, staying up all night trying to edit it. Special shout out to my cousin for helping me with that for free. I did end up paying him for some stuff with Jacksonville Wildlife later down the line, but yeah, that was quite the project. What was the most painful bite I've ever taken? Black Widow bite. What is your thought on Steve Irwin, like before he died? What do you think of him? If he's a good example, like you guys on animals, I think he was a priceless resource for conservation and shifting perspective on dangerous and misunderstood species like venomous snakes. People can argue, he was just real nonchalant with how he was handling stuff and whatever. Like, no, Steve was such a genuine guy, and that showed, and people just were able to connect with him and connect with how much he loved stuff, and he made such an impact in such a short amount of time. Really, I mean, gosh, I don't know if I would be here without it. So, I mean, he's got all the utmost respect and admiration that I could afford to him. Seriously, I have no issues with him at all. If you were to venture a guess, what will be the peak number of subscribers you will amass? I really have no idea. I'd love 1 million. I'd love 10 million. I'd love 100 million. My goal with the channel is to reach as many people as possible. So whatever the most amount of subscribers is, but that's, it's already a full-time job. I'd have to hire a whole team to help me manage millions of people. So I would just love to continue to grow and continue to be able to teach people and continue to be able to shed light on stuff that I feel like needs light shed on it. So as much subscribers as they will let me amass, I should say, is as much as I'd like. Are you scared of moths because you could accidentally swallow one and choke and die? Not really. Not scared of them. If that happens, I feel like that's kind of on me. So why is this a question? You're asking me why yellow jackets are so prone to stinging people. I've been stung for no reason that I could tell, and I've seen people minding themselves and get stung even while holding still. Yellow jackets are difficult because they're ground nesters. A lot of times somebody will disturb their nest because they don't see it. It's like in the ground. They dig out their nests in the ground. So, you're at a park, somebody's playing soccer, runs over, stomps on a yellow jacket mound. They come out and they're going, who did that? And you might be, 10 feet that way, but they're frenzied, so it's still a defensive reaction. So it's not that it's stinging you for no reason. It's just that, that defensive nature may be, incorrectly, imposed onto you. And that's why they're stinging you. Or, you're standing on top of a nest, you don't realize it, one of them comes up, stings you, tells you to leave. But yeah, they can be tricky because they can have huge nests underground that you just can't see. And then all of a sudden, there'll be a handful of them that got really mad because lady let her dog run across the nest and they come out ready to take care of business. What kind of enclosure would you recommend for a Homo sapiens female? The biggest, most beautiful and expensive house you can buy, filled with everything that a Homo sapien could need. Regarding your brown recluse response, yes, I'm in the middle of Tennessee and they're everywhere, but I've never been bitten in my 41 years. Oh, it updated and shot me off of here. OMG, if I could argue all day with people about brown recluses, I would. Well, now you can just tag them to one of my videos. For me, Steve Irwin, Robin Williams, Mr. Rogers, Carl Sagan, those are all great Uh, Please, more Christmas specials. Is there a Christmas themed bug? Can you decide the official Christmas bug? There's a few really good ones. The redheaded beauty, Sarah Bison beetle that I found in Austin a few years ago. It would be a great Christmas themed bug. They live on like juniper, which is a conifer, sort of like a Christmas tree, and they're like beautiful, red and green. I would say that'd be my Christmas bug. Was Bob Ross the painting guy from the '70s? Yep. Uh, David Bowie, John Lennon, both great. Freddie Mercury, yep. Jack's channel will blow up into the millions. I hope so. Wolf spiders cover my backyard at night. Shine a flashlight. See hundreds of eye shines. Yeah, that's cool. Let's see. Trying to get. You should do a special on Komodo dragons. They're incredible animals. Very limited videos on these prehistoric dinosaurs. We almost went to Komodo Island in 2019, but we just couldn't get it to work out. I would love to go. I have some friends that may be going this year, but I don't think I'll be able to get out that way. Um, they actually closed Komodo Island for a while because people were coming in and smuggling juvenile dragons off. So it was kind of shut down for a while. I think they're starting to open back up, but it's more expensive than it used to be. I'd still, at some point, I would love to go, of course. Better late than never. The Wildlife Brothers, another live stream. I wish I could stay on longer, but I'm glad to catch the stream for a literal second. They're probably even gone now. But I've been loving the Ecuador content. That's right. The Wildlife Brothers, they were with me in Ecuador, and they got tons of incredible stuff filmed. You should go and check those boys out. They're up and coming. They're up and comers. That's what I'm saying. So be sure to go and check out their channel. They're great guys. They've got some killer stuff that's going to come out of all the stuff they filmed in Ecuador. And I have a feeling you'll probably see a few more collabs and stuff from us here in the upcoming weeks. We're probably going to have our faces spilling over into each other's videos here and there. And we've got a great collab with the brothers both took bullet ant stings. So that'll be coming out, within the next few weeks here. So that'll be fun for you guys to see because they ain't never had a bullet ant sting before. So we'll see. We'll see if they're quite as strong as me with those stings. What if he did a collab with many people around the world who loves animals? Steve Irwin, his son, the rest of the family in the Australian Zoo, do a collab with them. Oh man, that would be awesome. I would love to do a collab with the Irwins. I know plenty of people all around the world. I have done collabs with, a lot of my more global friends. But it's always something I love to do. I love to do collabs. It's always fun having somebody else there to share the experience with and do a video with. So something I could definitely do more of. Wolf spiders are my favorite true spider. They're so amazing. I rescue them in my house all the time, feed them up a bit and release them. Saved one with babies a couple weeks ago. I loved it. That's so cool. I love wolf spiders. They're really neat. Thank you for creating and sharing. Continue to be you, friend. I sure will. Are there any bites that surprise you with how they felt or lingering impact or conversely? And you expect it to be bad, but that turned out to be barely impactful. Yes. Probably my biggest surprise was Black Widow bite. I was like, after I held it on for so long, my cameraman was like, "Oh, that's not going to be good." And I was like, "Dude, why didn't you tell me?" He's like, "I didn't want to ruin the video." Because he had been bitten a handful of times before, but just pinch and release bites. He's like, "Yeah, there was one time I even worked through it." And I was like, "Oh, okay, not bad." I understood what the venom did because this was so small. I was like, "I really want to make sure she actually gets me. I don't want it to be anticlimactic." Horrible. Bad surprise. And then one that I thought was going to be really bad, which wasn't even bad at all, was the gigantic Texas brown tarantula I had bite me. I was like, and then it was just like pinching me, stabbing me with his big old fangs and just like barely stinging. I was like, oh, okay. I was so nervous for it and it was fine. Have you ever done an expedition to Brazil? There's so many cool animals here. I've not, but it is something that I've talked to a few of my friends about potentially doing in the future. Some of my South American uh, connections, some of my buddies that we were hanging out with in Ecuador, we may do an proper Amazon trip. And Brazil got a lot of Amazon in it. I would love to go and film that stuff. There's probably Christmas colored praying mantis. I'm sure there is. What is one place you would go if you had unlimited money? Oh wow. Oh gosh. Australia or Africa. I would say those are probably my two top places. If I could just go all out, spend as much time as I needed, as much money as I needed to get everything filmed. Yeah. What do you think about the Japanese funnel web spiders? Man, oh man, are they intimidating? Yeah, they're beefy. I mean, there's some old world, trapdoors, funnel webs. I mean, that are like scary looking, but they're so cool. I love megalomorphs so much. They're such an amazing group of arachnids, and every single time I get to see one, I'm excited. I would love to do a Japan trip. There's tons of amazing invertebrates over there. I've got a connection to go film the giant salamanders as well. Like, I want to do it. I want to do it. Hopefully, I can get that giant hornet too. We'll see. Um, Thank you so much for doing this. Being able to connect with our favorite creator means a lot. I love doing this. I mean, I don't have anything to do tonight. I was working all day today. Sometimes I drive myself a little crazy just watching my numbers and stuff. And we got a pretty good week uh, rounding out here. We're coming down into the weekend, so everything's been pretty good. I can't complain about. Uh, Basically numbers this week. So I was just like, you know what? I'll hop on here. I haven't done a live stream this whole year, I don't think. And so we got a lot of cool stuff. A lot of new people that maybe haven't had a chance to hop on these live streams. I used to do them quite a bit, especially like in the winter and times when stuff is kind of slow. I would do one like once a week. Just to connect with people. It's difficult though, because if I do them too much, everybody asks their questions, and then the people who tune into the live streams like stop tuning in, or like are like bored, and then the people who don't normally ask the same questions as the people who normally are in them. So it's nice. I like to kind of sprinkle them in now, because it's fun to come on here and get to really answer your questions, because I do go through most of the comments. Like, I do answer a lot of comments, but like to see me actually answer them, you know, I'm glad you guys enjoy it. Ecuador videos are so fun. I'll be doing a trip to Colombia next year if all works out. Beautiful country, Colombia. I've never had a chance to really get out there, but tons of great wildlife, dart frogs, all sorts of cool stuff I'd love to see down there. Thoughts on the Australian whitetail spider? I live in Adelaide. I see a fair few of them, and they are one spider down here that really gives me the creeps. Again, it's one of those kind of wives' tale spiders. So people are like, oh, the bite is really bad. It's really nasty. There's really not anything I've seen chemically that would make them a dangerous spider. It seems to be hearsay or misinformation. I'm sure a bite would be irritating and not very fun. But if I'm able to kind of get down back to the land down under, I would love to film some videos on those types of animals, where we can, dispel some myths there. Maybe do a bite video. We'll see. I'd have to do a little more research, make sure I know what I'm getting into. But as far as I understand, again, it's one of those that's just kind of like, nah, it's not very dangerous. Would you let a few fire ants crawl into one of your ears and sting you? That sounds horrific. No, thank you. You're the reason I no longer kill bugs in my house. I catch and release, and I'm teaching my 3-year-old to do the same. Rest assured, you've saved hundreds of creatures already. Love to hear it. That's like literally those are like my favorite comments, because I'll get crap from people saying like, oh, you shouldn't have done this video this way, or you shouldn't have said that or done that or put that on your face or whatever. And I'm like, listen, if I can save even just 10 spiders or something, or change somebody's mind so that they aren't just killing animals just for existing, they have a different perspective that I help them come to. If I can just make that tiny bit of a difference, like, I did my job. So I love to see when people tell me that, oh, I don't kill spiders anymore. I don't kill snakes anymore. I don't do that stuff anymore. I'm not afraid of this stuff anymore. That's the goal. That's what I like to hear. Greetings from Belgium. I like your videos a lot. I'm lucky that we don't have those spiders in Europe. Stay safe and enjoy. Thank you so much, Rolf. You have some cool spiders in Europe. You have the Mediterranean widow, which is a really beautiful species of spider. Some localities have these beautiful red spots all over their abdomen. But yeah, for the most part, we've got we got you beat on spider diversity, I'm pretty sure. Is there an insect, animal, or reptile that grosses you out? I answered this a little further back. Not really any insects or animal, or I should say reptiles that gross me out, but hagfish, which are these deep sea jawless fish. They have these like little tiny beady eyes and like these huge like gross kind of barbly whiskers, and they get this nasty little sucker mouth, and basically they just like feed on like whale falls, which are like these dead whales that like sink to the bottom of the ocean, and they just like grab onto like rotting flesh and they like just twist themselves around. Ugh. I find them to be a little bit gross. Am I interested in them? Are they fascinating? Yes, of course, but they're gross. No way around it. They gross me out. So that's really it. I'm not usually very grossed out by much of anything. There's a few like parasitic worms and stuff that like everybody's kind of like, ooh, yeah, oh, parasitic worms. But even like leeches and stuff, like I actually really am fascinated by leeches. If I get a big leech, I'm like, ooh, cool leech right there. That's awesome. I actually kept leeches for a while, so there are things that are like normally people would be like disturbed by that I think are really cool. I love that. I've done the same teaching my 4-year-old daughter. Teaching those things is so important. Absolutely. Because this stuff bleeds over into the rest of your life. If if a kid grows up, and the parent is constantly, generating fear responses based off, seeing stuff, a kid is uncertain in those situations. They're learning for the first time seeing a spider, and it's horrifying. It's going to get us or it's going to hurt us. Those can be really negative, interactions. And that can translate into other parts of life. That can feed into anxiety, that can feed into fearfulness and worry and that kind of stuff. Versus if you're like, hold on, this is a really strange, unusual thing. Maybe it even has the potential to hurt you, but it's not something to be afraid of. Look, we're across the room. This animal's not going to hurt us. We can just carefully pick this up, put it outside. Just because it has the potential of hurting us doesn't mean that it doesn't have the right to exist. We're not the center of the universe, right? We have to coexist not only with each other but with the other organisms on the planet. So when we can start to drill that in early, you benefit from that. It really, I believe in that 100%. Like, you know, especially in child development, I feel, and in child education, I think it's so important to generate those types of learning experiences and culture that kind of curiosity. And because kids are naturally really curious about stuff and they're looking to you for cues, to parents, to teachers, to mentors, older siblings, anything like that. And so when we teach them to take a step back and evaluate, well, what is this animal's perspective, right? Because for me, I'm scared of it. Like, it's a wasp or a spider. This animal is horrified. It's found itself trapped in an environment where certain death is like a statistical likelihood, right? People just pick up a book or a slipper or something, and smash it. Like, this animal's terrified for its life, right? So then those kids are saying, "Oh, well, this animal's actually scared. It doesn't want to hurt me. It's hoping that I'm going to leave it alone." And then we have those really important and beneficial conversations about empathy and that type of stuff. So it bleeds into everything. When we take care of everything else, it helps us do better at taking care of ourselves, I think. So I'm glad. And again, I really I do intentionally keep my stuff, child friendly as well. Like, YouTube has now really cracked down on, like, you have to specify if your content's made for kids. So technically my channel's not made for kids. Like, it's not specifically targeted at children, but I really try hard to make sure that it's palatable for even a fairly young audience. Cause this stuff is for everybody. We're all living on this planet. These are all our, you know, planetary neighbors, so to speak. So I think it's important, if whether you're 5 years old or 95, if you're watching the channel, you should be able to get something out of it. Let's see. How involved is your wife in your passion videos, trips, sting partner? She's helped me film quite a few videos. Um, uh, we filmed a few videos on like vacations and stuff together, or I've had her come out and help me film stuff. She's filmed a handful of sting videos for me. She never takes a sting, of course. Um, but she's very supportive. She's amazing. I love her so much. And every once in a while, it stresses her out if I'm going somewhere or taking a big sting or doing something like that. But for the most part, she really enjoys, that I'm able to kind of get out and do this important stuff, and it's enabled us to, you know, get out, live on our own, have a roof over our heads and, take care of our cat and so it's been more of a blessing than a curse. But yeah, so far no stings. And I'm hoping to take her on some more trips if we can get the channel, cranking with us. But no, yeah, she's great. Would you consider taking a bite from Scolopendra dehani when you figure out whatever's going on with YouTube or any other Asian species? Potentially. Scolopendra dehani is an extremely toxic centipede, um, which, makes it a little nerve wracking. There could potentially be some undesirable byproducts of a bite from an animal like that. Because at the end of the day, my goal is to not really hurt myself or damage myself in a lasting long term way. My goal is to reveal the truth about these animals. So, would I free handle a Scolopendra dehani for a video? And if it bites me accidentally, it bites me accidentally, of course. Would I go out of my way to film Scolopendra dehani video specifically to do a bite? Not sure. I don't really have a lot of people even asking for it. Most people just want to see me compare Hero's bites with Coyote. That's really the only centipede people are still actually asking me for. After I did the Caribbean giant centipede, people didn't seem to really resonate with it as much as I was thinking they were going to, because it just wasn't as recognizable. So I feel like something like Scolopendra dehani, I would probably run into that same kind of thing, except I'd be more at risk of something. Irukandji jellyfish sting. Again, we talked about jellyfish stings. Difficult to pull off, difficult to locate, difficult to find, and not super like useful in why I do sting videos. What's my favorite accent to do? I really enjoy doing a pretty awful Australian accent, or like New Zealand, real exaggerated. But when I'm like hanging out with some of my friends down under, they're like, "Oh, bro, that accent is rubbish. It's trash, dude. Shut up. It's awful." But it's like, if I really tried, I could really do it. But I think it's funny to do it poorly. Because I'm like, "Oh yeah, oh dude, I found a massive snake out there. It's huge. It's huge, mate. It's huge, mate. It's giant." I'm trying really hard not to curse while I'm doing the Australian accent because in true Aussie fashion, it makes me want to like throw in so many expletives. What I do with my friends. But again, family friendly channel, so I don't curse like a sailor on here. But I am a grown up, and sometimes I use colorful language, just not in front of the kids. Hunter, thank you so much. Or Hunter, I don't know. Is it like hunter slang, or is it like Hunta? I don't know. I can't tell. But thank you so much for becoming a JWoww fan. Now that you're part of our memberships, you have exclusive access to behind the scenes stuff. Go check out the members only stuff. And I promise I'm working on more members only stuff for you to have. So just keep your eyes peeled for that. Uh, okay. So now when you are okay, I'm gonna translate what I think that you're saying. Don't feel like you're like I'm understanding what you're saying, so I'm just gonna like translate it as I read it. Now, when you are about to be famous and you see people like asking about me, like when they meet like an actor or a musician, so how is it? Like, have I been recognized? Like, do people come up to me and stuff? Very, very, very rarely will I have people like recognize me. Every once in a while, and usually it's somebody who's like following me on other social media, like they've got me on Facebook or they follow my Facebook page or my Instagram and stuff. I usually don't have like people come out to me and they're like, "Are you Jack's World of Wildlife?" But I don't go to a lot of places. Like if I was going to like reptile expos and stuff, like I'm sure more people would recognize me. But even now that we're almost 100,000 subscribers, like in terms of like the population of like even the metroplex that I live near, like it's a drop in the bucket, you know. So it's not like I've got a ton of people that are just like in my area that like know of me. But uh every once in a while I'll run it. I'll like, you know, most of the time it's like family friends, like their kids like watch my stuff and they don't realize that like their parents kind of know my family. And then I'll like go and I'll like meet them and they're like a fan that's meeting me, but they don't know like, you know, that I know their mom or whatever, you know, stuff like that. That's usually what happens. Not so much like I'm like walking around and people are like, "Oh, you're Jackson Wildlife. Can we have a picture with you?" And I'm like, "Of course." You know, that doesn't really happen to me yet. Do you have much experience with Eastern Diamondbacks? I've got a lot of experience with venomous snakes, not a ton with Eastern Diamondbacks in particular. But I did get my life for Eastern Diamondback last April in Apalachicola. That beautiful, like little yearling, and I was the Lord because I've been to Florida a handful of times looking for Eastern Diamondbacks and never got one. And never got one before, and so I was just super excited to finally get one. But like I said, I got tons of experience with venomous snakes. I'm no stranger around Diamondbacks, regardless Eastern, Western, whatever. By the way, I'm about to buy a red widow, and I'm so excited. They're beautiful spiders, beautiful spiders. They like to be kept a little bit on the drier side. Don't overfeed. But as long as it's got lots of places to kind of hang out, move around, kept at a nice temperature, they're great. They're great spiders to have, and the females can live for quite some time. I love keeping widow spiders. They're so easy, and they're just beautiful little living gems that you get to keep. My view on living creatures, including insects, have also changed from watching channels like yours. I assume that even insects are sentient at some level and want to live just like we do. Yeah, so sentience is aside, right? As its own thing aside. Um, these animals, like the basic hardwiring of them, is to survive and reproduce and procreate. And if they're unable to accomplish that task, I do feel that it's a disappointment to them in a sense. Like, not that they're like, oh, in bug heaven, like, oh man, geez, I never got to mate or whatever. But it's like they do have just they're hardwired to accomplish tasks. And I feel like when they're able to do that, it must be like a release. It must be like a reward, you know, that they're like, oh, I was able to pass on my genetic material, or I was able to pollinate these flowers, or I was able to do whatever. And so I do think, you know, when we think about that, not necessarily anthropomorphizing them into oblivion, but we do recognize that it's like, there's no reason for me to squash that bug. You know, like it's just trying to exist. It's trying to accomplish, you know, its little goals. And just because it's, you know, a smaller organism or a less complex organism or whatever, like it doesn't justify inflicting harm or killing it or you know, doing whatever. You know, I think that's a great perspective to have. Glad to hear it. Did you hear they estimated that there are 20 quadrillion ants in the world? Estimated. There are so many ants. Like when people are like, "Oh, I love animals." I'm like, "Oh, really? Like what's your favorite animal?" And they're like, "I don't know, probably like a panda bear or something." And I'm like, Okay. Like insects outweigh like all other animals on Earth by like 10 to the 100th power. Like it's insane. Like there are so many insects. People are like, well, I don't really like bugs or spiders or, crabs or crustaceans or anything. I'm like, great. So that's like 90% of the animal kingdom that you don't like. So then actually, statistically, you don't like animals. You actually dislike most animals. There are so many insects. So I don't doubt that figure. I mean, it's a lot. It's hard to quantify that. I mean, that seems insane. I mean, if I feel like 20 quadrillion ants would make like an Earth-sized planet, like that's an infinitely huge number. Or it feels like it. Obviously, it's not infinite, but it's huge. I do show mercy and catch and release him. Glad to hear it. Finally made it. Welcome. Which animal is your top one that you would really like to work with? Is it a spider? There's a lot of animals I really like to film. I don't know that I have a top one. I've got plenty of top ones. I'd love to find Sydney Funnel Web again. I'd love to film, King Cobra in the wild. I would love to film orangutans in the wild, gorillas, platypus, you know, everything. There's so many things that are on the top of my list. Thank you so much, Annika. Thank you. That's a cute little Shiba Inu. Jeff. I really do appreciate all the super chats tonight, guys. That's really it really does help with everything. We're right now. I'm trying to figure out what all we're hoping to film next week. I'm always editing videos and stuff. So any bit of support, any like, share, comment, super chat, membership, subscription, any of that, it is choice. Bot flies are nasty. They're really interesting though. I'm always like a little bit disappointed when I come back and I don't have a bot fly. I'm like, man, that would have been cool to have a bot fly. Flukes, flatworms, and lampreys, all a little gross. I do like lampreys though. They're really, really interesting. Sometimes they look gross. Again, those are jawless fishes, just like the hagfish. But I do like lampreys, and I would love to see adult brook lampreys because I was able to catch some larvae. I've never seen adults. They're super cool. Have you considered doing a video on tide pools and their ecosystems? I walked a few on the West Coast 2 years ago and was amazed at the diversity of life in them. Absolutely. I've actually filmed. The problem is like I live in Texas, right? And the closest beach to me is like 5 hours away. And once you get to the beach, it's like the Gulf of Mexico, just like dirt beach that's got like, maybe some sargassum, seaweed floating around which you can find some stuff in, and then like big like granite concrete jetties that you can find tide pool like creatures in. Like we don't have like rocky beaches, so it's like I would love to get out to the West Coast and just like film urchins and nudibranchs and octopus and stuff like that. Like I would love to do that. Absolutely. I'm a big fan of marine ecosystems. I haven't been able to showcase it all that much because for the most part people come to my channel for invertebrates and reptiles and things, terrestrial invertebrates, I mean. But I mean, personally, me myself, like I keep saltwater aquariums. Like I've done that for a long time. I've worked in plenty of fish stores. I really enjoy a lot of the diversity that you can find in the ocean, coral and stuff. I love being around it. It's just, it doesn't usually overlap with where my production videos take place because I'm like in the jungle somewhere, not on the beach. By the way, do you think about mosquitoes and flies? Do you need to kill them if they disturb you or something like that? I I actually do this really weird thing where I like brush mosquitoes off. Like I don't usually slap them. I'll slap them every once in a while, but I usually just like I'm like they get a little bit and I just kind of you know, brush them away. I usually don't kill them, which is kind of extreme. But again, mosquitoes are important. They're really important in the food chain. As long as they don't like give me some horrible disease, you know, I don't really react very much to like welts. Like I'll have like it'll be itchy for a few days or a day or so, but I don't like swell out. My cameraman Gage, he just looks like he's got grapes, all over his body because he does swell up. 2.5 million ants for every human. Wild. Why'd you get bit by Black Widow? To prove that didn't kill people and to hopefully change people's minds about them. You're married. How old are you, dude? I'll be 24 in October. Top secret information that you just got. Uh, some people are surprised. They're like, "Oh man, I thought you were way younger." Or some people are like, "Oh, dude, I thought you were like 30." It's always confusing. Uh, I guess like I carry myself in a way. I usually seem older to people, but I'm a young buck. Jack, you rock. My wife and son love watching your videos. Keep up the good work. Glad to hear it. I'll do my best to do that. By the way, is it painful to be eaten or stricken, or how you say by crabs? Like pinched? Like pinched. It can be pretty painful. I got pinched pretty bad by blue crab one time down on the coast, the Gulf of Mexico. I do not like getting pinched. I'll take stings over getting pinched. Like I got pinched really bad by a bunch of little stag beetles 2 summers ago. It was awful. My hands were like sweating and shaking. I was like, oh, they were just pinching the fire out of me. And I was like, I would have taken a wasp sting to the neck over getting pinched by those freaking stag beetles. My dad's an entomologist. He worked at STRI in Panama for many decades. If you would like a cool place to stay and collect specimens in Bolivia, my dad's buddy Tony has a large amount of land really deep in the jungle in Bolivia that he has researchers, etc., come stay at. Tony is an amazing guy. Milk snakes for anti-venom for free. And we really want to get him some. Is there more to that comment? Yeah, 100%. If you wanna comment that on another video or something, or shoot me an email. My email is attached to my YouTube. I'm always looking for stuff like that. That sounds amazing. I don't know when the next time I'd be able to get down, but I'm always looking for places where we can go, where we've got like-minded people that are interested in what I'm doing. Like my work or think what I'm doing is important and want to, help me, showcase, the land and the species that, are around them. Yeah, I love that kind of thing. Hi, Jack. Love the show. Thanks so much. Glad you like it. Okay, Jack, how were the weeks after your spider bites? I caught brown recluse bite on my ankle and didn't touch it for a week, then was hospitalized another week with 105 fever for days. It spread to my knee on the same leg, caused me to get septic. And 27 staples later, I have a rad scar. Yikes! That sounds like pretty nasty secondary bacterial infection that occurred. Most of the time, it's just like I've got a sore spot. Black Widow lasted forever. It felt like I just had headaches every day. My arm just really hurt. Like I had like that like liquid bandage. Like it's kind of like pain reliever, antiseptic. I put that on every morning. I had to put that on multiple times a day just to like help with just throbbing pain. My neck hurt, my back hurt. It was awful. For brown recluse, my arm would just kind of really stung right where it bit me. So it's like sleeping, and I kind of like hold my hand up to where it wasn't touching my arm wasn't touching anything, and I was just uncomfortable. Most of my other bites have been okay. Like even like big itchy wasp stings, like usually like the itchiness like goes away at night and comes back in the morning kind of thing. But great question. Sorry you had such a nasty reaction to that spider bite. That sounds like no fun at all. At work this week, I introduced your channel to some coworkers, and someone else walked by and said they recognize you from the gram. I've been trying to upload more reels and stuff to reach more people, and the Instagram has a fair bit of subscribers. If you guys want to see, some other pictures and shorts and stuff like that, try to post frequently on Instagram. Same, Jack's World of Wildlife is my handle. Have you ever gone to schools and taught the kids about all the animals you show? Yeah, I have. I've done some like animal show presentations for kids, children groups, and stuff like that. I did a thing for like Boy Scouts of America. I went and did an animal show for them. I do it every once in a while. I don't do it as much anymore because I don't really have a lot of like captive specimens. Usually, that goes over a little. It goes over well if you have stuff to show kids, instead of just like, hi, I'm Jack. You guys want to pull out a projector and watch my YouTube for 45 minutes? Great. All right. See you later. Thank you for the husbandry advice of the widow. No problem. Enjoy. Where can I buy a red widow? There's a few people that have them every once in a while. You've already got that answered. Perfect. Let's see. Am I missing stuff here? My favorite animal always makes people look at me funny when I say it's a bat. Love bats. They're so cool. Chiroptera is such an amazing group of. I wish I had more bat videos on the channel. I think I only have 2. I have lesser false vampire bat that I found in Thailand, and then I have eastern gray-headed bats from New South Wales, Australia, that I filmed a video on. I really would like to just like redo those videos because they're from so long ago. Like I know how to film it so much better now. But yeah, I only have those 2 bat videos. I love bats. They're so cool. Very unique group of animals. But I do think there is some sentience at some level because we see the same reactions, impulse insects, and many other living creatures that resembles fear, and they run the opposite way like we would. Yes, to an extent, there are things like evolutionarily speaking, like it's in their best interest to survive. So of predator avoidance is just like a built-in trigger response. So it's not necessarily that they're feeling fear in that moment. They're just like, my most successful existence is to survive as long as possible and accomplish as many goals as possible. So again, that's like we have to really disassemble what we try to imprint on these creatures because we want to make sure that we're being 100% accurate with what we're observing and then what we're interpreting as well. But potentially, yeah. I mean, fear is an instinctual response, and certainly vertebrate animals that we can very easily observe and interpret. If you like botflies, you should give sand fleas a try too. Yeah, maybe. Have you ever handled a Goliath bird-eating tarantula? I sure have. I used to have one, and she was really horribly mean. And she killed and ate another bird-eating tarantula before I could separate them. So I had this huge tub in my closet. I had a big bird-eating tarantula, and then a buddy of mine gave me a smaller one. But it was just that it was skinnier, and he had it for a while. He just didn't need it anymore. He's like, "You want it?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll take it." So it's this huge tub. I mean, like one of those giant, like, clipping tubs you can buy at Walmart, like massive, like bathtub sized. So I had these tons of hides in there, and so there were these 2 big hides on either side. So I was going to get like a divider. I was going to put a divider in it. And so I put the smaller one on the right-hand side because there was a hide there. I was like, I'm going to put it there. It's probably not going to come out. This other one stays in this hide. And tomorrow I'm going to put a separator in there. The smaller one turns out was just like really crumpled up, and the abdomen was just like really kind of not very full, but it was essentially the same size, like cephalothorax and fangs and legs and everything, as the one I already had that was just like really calm and placid, super nice, nicest bird-eating tarantula I've ever seen. So the next morning, before I'm about to get ready to go to like a Lowe's or something and get something to separate them, and I go, let me just make sure that they're both still good in there before I go and buy something. So I remember I stuck my head all the way in there because I put the new one in the hide on the right, and I stuck my head all the way in there, and nothing's in there. And all of a sudden, I hear hissing from this side, and I'm like, "What was that?" I was like, "My bird-eating tarantula's never hissed before." And then I go, "My bird-eating tarantula's never hissed before." So then I look, and the new one is like stridulating its chelicerae to hiss at me, and it is also just chewing into the lifeless corpse of my original bird-eating tarantula. And I was like, oh no. Oh, I thought it was going to be okay for one night. It went out and was out for blood after one night in that stupid tub. I was like, it was like enough room for 5 bird eating tarantulas in there. You had to go and like eat the other one. But then that one, it was like a crazy feeder. Like I could throw in anything. Like I fed it mouse one time because the snake wouldn't take it. I fed it like big Madagascan hissing cockroaches, and it would just like grab them and just stab it. I mean, it was like a great tarantula, but obviously once my wife and I were going pretty steady as boyfriend and girlfriend, she was like, I don't know that I can keep coming over if you have that like horrifically intimidating bird eating tarantula. So I sent it with a buddy of mine to put on display at a facility because I was like, this is a spider that the world needs to see. And I never really found out what occurred to her, but man, if it was anything like how she was living life before, I'm sure she's just roaming the streets somewhere, picking off stray dogs or something. She was quite the spider. Let's see. Jack, do you have a favorite shark? Great question. Um, I think I'm most partial to tiger sharks. There's just something about them. They're beautiful, they're big, they're elegant. The patterning is just so striking. I would say tiger sharks and of course great whites. I mean, the big, impressive carnivorous sharks. I love. I would love to see like whale sharks in the wild as well. But I think I would be most excited to see one of those big two. Maybe I'll add, like great hammerhead or something on there, like just a 15-foot great hammerhead. Oh, man, that's got to be an intimidating fish to see. Is there any animal I'm scared of? Wild elephants, I think. That's probably one of the main ones. Beautiful animals. I love elephants. So amazingly intelligent, so fantastic, but scary. They can and will kill you. I've been charged by an Asian elephant, and that was about as close to getting squashed as possible. Oh, I didn't see this one, MC. I apologize. Let me take care of this super chat real quick. Hopefully, you didn't just like leave after it took me a while to see this. Siberian tiger versus grizzly bear. Who wins? I think that if we're talking Eurasian grizzly bear, see, it's really difficult because a Siberian tiger is capable of taking out some very substantial prey items, but a grizzly bear is a lot more of a kind of close combat almost adjacent animal. Like I feel like they could really defend themselves fairly easily. But I don't know. You know what? I'm gonna say Siberian tiger. I just think that a grizzly, like I'm thinking of like the attacks they're gonna use, right? And I think that the bite force, the agility, and the durability of a Siberian tiger compared to the grizzly bear, like I feel like the grizzly bear is only going to be able to do so much, like a few swats. I feel like the swat is going to be the most powerful attack from the grizzly, and I feel like Siberian tiger can go swat for swat. I mean that's a big, powerful animal. So I think I'm going to say Siberian tiger. I think they're pretty evenly matched on strength and attack, and so I'm going to go with agility and like people don't realize like a grizzly bear, although it's a huge animal, like it's an omnivore. I mean, a lot of these animals, like they might have a few square ups here and there with another bear, but it's not the same thing as like a Siberian tiger that's consistently hunting and taking down every meal. So that's what I'm going to go with. Your latest Brazilian wandering spider video was quite eye-opening. Dude, I honestly never thought it was possible to handle one of those, as I heard they were very aggressive. I mean, a lot of people think they're very aggressive. And there are species and localities and stuff that I'm sure are more defensive than the ones that I come across. But all of the encounters I've had with wandering spiders in Central America and now in South America, that's been their like MO. Like they just seem to be really calm and not very defensive at all, not aggressive at all. Um, have you ever come across an assassin caterpillar? It sounds like they're quite dangerous, but they're such a fascinating creature. Assassin caterpillar. I'm trying to think if that is what I'm thinking it is. There's a species of Himalukid caterpillar, in South America that has killed people before. And the main thing to remember is that these animals are like clustered on like, oh, I'm gonna do it on the wall, clustered on like trees. And it's a bunch of them, and they have these big old spines that come off their back. And when you touch them, it injects venom. I've been stung by other hemilucids, just one at a time. But if you slam your hand or you're hiking and you just put your hand on a tree and you get stung by like 20, their venom's really potent. So they've got like you can get to the point where you got a pretty serious envenomation from caterpillars. So really you don't need to really worry about dying from caterpillars. Just be careful where you're walking, where you're leaning up against, what you're touching, if you're hiking through areas where there's congregations of those types of caterpillars. What's the most venomous insect in the world that can kill you instantly? There's no insect that can kill you instantly. Uh, Really, there's no insect that can really even kill you by itself. Most dangerous insects in the world would probably be something like the giant hornets. Like if you got swarmed by giant hornets or Africanized honeybees, like that's a ton of stings of fairly potent venom. And if you get enough of that, then you could die. You go cardiac arrest or have allergic reaction or something like that, a drastic histamine response, something. What's the next bug you want to be stung or bitten by? I don't know. The only thing I actually want to be stung or bitten by is the Japanese giant hornet because I'm curious to try it. Everything else is just like if something, kind of like comes up and I think I can do it without YouTube flagging the video, then, maybe I'll add it to my roster. But as far as like actually wanting to be stung or bitten by something, I'm curious to see Japanese giant hornet. So I'm like, yeah, I'd like to check that one off my list. Um, let's see. Hey man, thanks for doing your show. My son Gavin is a big fan. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. That's what I'm here to do. Wow, it's been 2 hours. It's been like 2.5 hours. Like this is gonna be one of my longest streams ever. I'm probably gonna. I'm not gonna go past 3, which is gonna be insane. Um, we're gonna keep it below 3 hours. But usually I'm like, oh, it's a 1 hour stream, and then it's always longer than 1 hour. Um, so I already knew I was going to be in the ballpark of 2, but I'm still getting so many questions. I don't want to cut you guys off. We still got 43 people on, so while we got everybody here, might as well, you might as well get your money's worth. Jack, I enjoy your videos. I do not think the YouTube algorithm treats you fairly. I never get notified when you go live. Also, your videos should get more views with the number of followers you have. I agree. Yeah, I'm really working on it. I mean, it sucks when, stuff isn't in your favor, but it's just like I can't do anything other than just keep uploading regularly. I didn't want to do shorts and stuff. I didn't want to, put a lot of time and effort into stuff other than like what I'm really interested in doing, which is like long form videos where I can get everything out that I feel like I need to say. But whatever I got to do, to get out of get out of the slump, and get these videos back in front of everybody. Like that's what I'm gonna do. Um, just wondering if some animals or insects in Sweden are similar to America, or is it worse? Just like mosquitoes in America, is it like more dangerous than in Europe or Sweden? Not necessarily. We do have a lot of overlap. I mean, you have butterflies and moths and beetles. You have uh, a handful of you know adjacent animals that we also have here in the states. As far as it's more dangerous, usually mosquitoes carry more illness in warmer areas, but it's not super common for big outbreaks, at least in the United States, to occur. Every once in a while, there'll be West Nile going around, or there was like one report of like malaria or something from Texas, like one, weird stuff. Every once in a while, but insects are usually not what I consider to be a danger. Um, and we don't really have a big like epidemic of like mosquito-borne illness usually in uh, the U.S. Let's see. I thought you wouldn't ever handle a wandering spider. You're awesome now that you have a cine funnel web actually on the table, or are they too primitive and risky? I have caught a city funnel web before, and the males I know to be they can be really defensive, but they're essentially the behavior is very similar to like trapdoor spiders, which I've handled before. I've handled males before. I put them on my face. I would love to go out and catch them, and then I can evaluate how it would feel. I can't imagine holding like a female would be a big deal. Like just carefully take her out of her burrow and get her in a container, let her calm down, let her just walk around. I mean, they're not just going to be biting the ground and stuff. If I'm just holding them, they don't know what they're on. I would love to at least get there and then make the decision of am I going to handle it or not? Because from my memory, I don't even think the female I caught back in 2018, which is in my top 5 most dangerous spider videos I've ever, most dangerous spiders I've ever found, because I didn't film a full video because it was difficult at the time to make sure that it was a city funnel web. And unlike some people on YouTube, if I'm not absolutely sure of what I'm looking at, I I'm extremely hesitant to film a video because I don't want to create a video and then somebody be like in the comments like, dude, this is, the Eastern trapdoor spider, not the Sydney funnel web. You should have known that. Like, you know, I really try to make sure I've got the facts straight on everything. So we didn't actually film a video because I wasn't sure, but then I went back, looked at the video, cross references. Of course, the City Funnel Web. So you're like, oh, shucks, I could have got a City Funnel Web video, but all the more reason to go back to Australia and get that knocked out. That's how this is back to the. I'm behind now because you guys are just commenting, commenting, and commenting. It's like you have questions that you want answered. This is in reference to the bird eating tarantula story I just told. That's actually terrifying. I had no idea those guys were cannibals. I've heard that bird eaters weren't the best pet tarantulas to keep, but I was just wondering. They can be really cantankerous. The one I had before was like an exception to the rule. I was like, she's so sweet. What the heck? Is she like okay? But she would eat and she would molt it and she looked fine. I was worried she had parasites or something. She was great. And then the new one on the block just slammed her. Jack putting 2 tarantulas together. I know it was such a bad idea. It was just like it was such a big enclosure. Like I'm telling you, it was huge. It was like twice as wide as this couch and like deep. And I was like, I'll put them on opposite sides. I'll like just put them in their hides, and then tomorrow I'm going to separate it because it was literally like it was like probably 75, 80-gallon like tub. It was huge. I was like, I'll just put them on opposite sides. They'll be fine. And tomorrow I'm going to separate it so that nothing happens. Bad idea. A sad ending for the birding trend. It certainly was. Hey, Jack. Oh, what's going on? Hey, Jack, longtime supporter. Just wanted to pop in real quick before I go to bed and show some love. I appreciate you. I always brighten up. You always give me because I'm always like, is that Dr. Evil as your profile picture? Because I always see that. I'm like, oh, it's gonna be a good comment. Tiger shark bite test incoming. Megalodons were cool too if we were counting extinct ones. Yeah, they're really cool. Hammerhead sharks are incredible. I agree. Jack, would you consider getting a sting from box jellyfish? I talked about it a little bit earlier. I don't think I would pursue stings from jellyfish very much. That's very hard to find them. Box jellyfish in particular are very hard to find, and they're not even technically a jellyfish. They're like a siphonophore. So I don't know. Maybe, but it's just really it's like how do you? That's the problem is how do you measure that? Like it's nematocysts that are stinging you. So there's like stinging cells that line the tentacles. So what's a sting? Is it like I go on a microscope and I cut one nematocyst and then I put that on my arm and it's like barely anything because it's one tiny thing? Or do I take a little bit of a tentacle and touch it? Like, there's no metric. It's not like I'm having one thing with a stinger sting me or one thing with fangs bite me. Like, it's like if I put the whole jellyfish on my arm, I die. If I put the tiniest piece on my arm, it does very little to nothing. So it's like, what's the cutoff? Oh, I thought I should do a pretty big part of the tentacle, so I got a big reaction, but I actually did too much, and now I have to go to the hospital, or now I'm in life-threatening condition. It's like That's like, how you can't measure it very effectively. So it's like, I don't know that it'd be something I would do because like anyone could get stung in any capacity. Somebody could have a full thing run into them. Somebody could have a piece of a tentacle that got broken off, just brush against them in the water. Like it's not standardized. It's not like a wasp stinging you when it feels threatened is going to be similar to wasp stinging somebody else if they're threatened. The reaction and the volume may not always be identical, but it's going to be really similar, if that makes sense. It's just too variable. I don't know how I could do it effectively. My favorite shark is the great hammerhead and the goblin shark. Yeah, they're cool. Hey Jack, I'm in the Austin, Texas area. We have quite a bit of striped bark scorpions here. I've so far been able to avoid being stung. Would you consider doing a sting? I would consider doing a sting. It's something that's always kind of been in my head to do. I haven't done too many scorpion stings. They usually don't do as well as I think that they're going to do. But it would be something I would consider doing. They're potent venom. They're potent venom. They're related to some really toxic species. MC, thank you again. 100K. Which snake would you be most afraid of? Man. See, I don't know because I'm not usually like afraid of snakes because I love to work with them. I work with tons of pretty dangerous venomous snakes. Um, but I've had some scary snake interactions. I would say I'm probably most wary around mambas, and I'm most wary around like forest cobras. Anything else, I'm usually like, oh, throw me in a room with it, like no problem. Those other two, I'm like, I kind of have to know, like what the individual is like, before I'm like jumping into that kind of thing. So I would say mambas and forest cobras I'm usually like, scary. Any knowledge about the caterpillar asp sting? Yeah. So again, toxic caterpillars inject venom with spines. Would be something I'd be interested in trying. See how it ranks with everything else. But I always seem to not find them when I'm looking for them, and find them when I don't have any way to film them. Let's see. Did you find everything you were looking for, or most of what you were looking for in Ecuador? Most, not everything. There were some beetles, there were some mantids that we didn't find, there were some ants that we didn't find, some snakes we didn't find. I mean, there's always stuff you don't find, but then there's surprise stuff that you get. I wasn't expecting, we weren't supposed to be in range of those poison frogs. And through just happenstance, we kind of found ourselves on a reserve full of them. So it's like, there's give and take. We didn't find common snakes, but we found a really rare viper. So it's like, you know, I'll take a trade off, if it's something I'm still happy with, hey, great, and we got the good stuff. We didn't find the beetle or the mantis I was looking for, but we got wandering spider, we got bullet ants, and those were like the big ones that I was really hoping to see. So, you get what you get, and you don't throw a fit. When you take that Japanese giant hornet sting, make sure to roll around and scream and say, definitely worse than a tarantula hawk. Yeah, I'm sure I'll say it. I'm sure I will. Your channel will grow, man. I'm sure of it. Just keep up the great content you've been providing. Love your stuff, bro. Regarding the algorithm, you got to suck it up and cater to kids like Coyote. Put your twist on it. Yeah, maybe. I mean, the thing is that it's not even that. What I need to do is just be consistent, because it's not like my content isn't good. It's not like I'm doing anything wrong. It's just that for some reason I'm in just like, a rip current pulling me away from the shore of good numbers. And I just have to like swim parallel to the shore and get back to where I need to be. Like, it's not like people are watching my videos and going, man, if you were more crazy, or if you did this, I would still watch, but I hate your stuff. No, it's like when my impressions are high, when my videos are being suggested, people love it. They tune in, they subscribe, they comment, they really enjoy it. So it's just a matter of getting back into whatever good graces I need to be in to have that stuff working for me. Jack, you are a phenomenal leader for wildlife. I enjoy your work and your exceptional knowledge of these animals. Your enthusiasm is contagious and entertaining. Thank you for all you do. Thank you so much. Seriously. Like, these are the comments that really, I mean, they really make it worth it. You feel like people are really connecting with what you're doing, and all of the stress and, figuring stuff out, it melts away when, you know, people are really connecting with us. So I really appreciate that. Thank you. Is there any tarantula that can kill you? Possibly, but very unlikely. There are some fairly toxic tarantulas in the old world that do have a lot more potent venom than most of our new world tarantulas. So potentially untreated, a severe bite, maybe from a giant female, maybe could put you in a pretty tight spot, but usually not very good. Do you plan on writing a book? I've thought about some stuff. Probably most likely what I would do first is write a children's book about animals. I've had that idea for a little bit. I've made a few kind of calls and texts about what that would look like to put that together. As far as like a book, like a grown up book, potentially. I don't mind writing. I've never really attempted to write a book before, but maybe people would like it. They like what I have to say over videos, so maybe they would enjoy reading a book. So potentially, maybe. I do plan on writing at least a children's book to answer your question. Let's see. What's the next bite or sting video? Just found your channel. I enjoy your content. The next bite or sting video is a collaboration with the Wildlife Brothers, the extended version of my bullet ant sting retest. So we will be showing the Wildlife Brothers, Harrison and Evan, from the channel Wildlife Brothers, them being stung also, and my cameraman Gage also being stung by a bullet ant. So that's 4 stings for the price of one video. We get to see me, Harrison, Evan, and Gage all get stung by a bullet ant. That's the next one to come out. Let's see. I heard tarantulas, small mouths can't bite you. If a tarantula's any decent size at all, it can bite, but they're usually not. The New World ones usually aren't very quick to bite at all. Let's see. By the time you read this, I'll be in bed, but I just want to say thank you for this. I'm really glad I could participate. Thank you so much, Stephen. I'm glad that I was able to answer some of those questions you had. 150-inch tarantulas could kill you. Yeah, if you got bit by a ton of tarantulas, yep, maybe. Have you thought about doing cameos? My 4-year-old son would love one for sure. I'm not set up on cameos, but maybe I'll put one together. Yeah, of course. I didn't realize there was a desire for it, but I have a few friends that do cameo stuff, so maybe I'll reach out to them, see what all I have to do to get that one figured out. But yeah, of course. I again, like I said, that's no trouble for me. Children's book would be brilliant. This sort of awareness is best to start young. Yep, I agree, 100%. Jack, we are thankful for you. We are thankful you have time to answer, and not just that you would like to be the second Steve Irwin. I realized because I didn't find anyone like Steve Irwin like you, and also your friend. Thank you. Thoughts on an OBT bite? Again, old world tarantulas sound horrible. I don't know that I'd want to do that. I don't want to do it. I don't think so. Well, it seems like we're starting to wind down. We got some people leaving. It's starting to get late. I've got 3 hours of Legend of Zelda to play before I'm going to bed. So thanks so much, everybody who tuned in today. I hope that you guys were entertained by this Q&A. We may do some more live streams in the future where we've got a little more structure to it, because it can get pretty difficult to keep up with all these questions. I put it on slow mode, so it's already a delay between comments. Um, but yeah, I've been glued to the TV. I'm playing way too much Zelda for my own good. Um, I played so much Breath of the Wild, and I pre-ordered Tears of the Kingdom, and then it came in like the week before I left for Ecuador. So I like played like just a little bit, so I'm like catching up. But I'm definitely logging a lot of time. But I just want to thank you all for coming on, supporting me. A special thanks to everybody who joined our channel memberships and donated on Super Chat. I really, really appreciate that kind of stuff. But I think we will end it here. So thank you guys for tuning in. I'm sure we'll do some more live streams this summer, um, and maybe we'll have some different kind of themes and stuff. Maybe I'll bring an animal or something on. Maybe we'll do just some other kinds of stuff. Maybe guests. I don't know. We'll see. But I appreciate you guys tuning in. I'll let you guys hop off. Be sure to keep on supporting. Every bit of support is gold. Any like, share, comment, donation, membership, Patreon support, all of it. It's just amazing. Every tiny piece. I mean, one view, one share. I mean, it all amounts. The collective. Makes a big difference, makes a positive difference, and keeps me able to put all this stuff together and keep filming videos for you guys. So thanks, everybody. I'll let you get on with your evenings, or depending on where you are in the world, the rest of your days. So I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys having interest in coming on here and hanging out with me for a little bit. So thank you all. Keep watching, keep commenting. If you have any other questions that I didn't answer here, be sure to comment them on one of the videos. I do check comments, so I'll be sure to get back to you, or save it for the next one. So thanks so much, and I will see you all next time. Later.